Hit it, boys.
Powered by NairaBet. This is Football Live with Barry Swain.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the first Football Live show of 2024. Today, it's all about the FA Cup, a cup competition with plenty of history, and down the years, a few shocks too.
And there it is. The crazy gang have beaten the Culture Club. Wimbledon have destroyed Liverpool's dreams of the double.
And Sunderland have done it! Stokoe can't believe it! But Sunderland from the second division. Where's he going, Bob Stokoe? To Jimmy Montgomery.
This afternoon, it's all about getting through to May's final. The big guns, such as Manchester United and Manchester City, who got to the final last year, want to do it all again this time around.
Manchester City have got the second leg of a treble and they beat the oldest of enemies to do it.
The FA Cup is the oldest football competition in the world. There is no other cup competition quite like it. It's been writing history for years.
Now these two great teams come onto the field in the calm, almost formal way which is part of cup final tradition.
An FA Cup final at Wembley is a day to be treasured and enjoyed.
2 minutes later, Rovers suffered sheer disaster. Left back Dave Whelan broke his leg.
Danny Blanchard has the honour to lead his cup-winning team up to the Royal Box.
And Bill Slater led his men, a proud captain indeed, to the Royal Box. From the Duchess of Gloucester, he received the cup.
We'll ask Jurgen Klopp, Mikel Arteta, Pep Guardiola what the FA Cup means to them, and they will all tell you that it means something special to get your hands on that famous trophy come May. This afternoon, we have 4 featured ties to get you all in the mood. Later, it's Chelsea against Preston North End. Aston Villa face a tough trip to Middlesbrough. We will be right across both of those matches later in the show. We also have a feature match in Serie A, Italy. Lecce against Cagliari a little bit later on. And we will also be looking at all the other results that come in across Europe this afternoon. Of course, it is still a winter break in the Bundesliga and in Spain, but there's quite a lot of football going on, French and Spanish Cup football as well this afternoon. Let's get straight into the Cup action. 4 games to get around for some brief team news to allow our reporters to set the scene. We start at the 365 Stadium. Stoke City of the Championship against last season's semi-finalist Brighton. FA Cup memories meaning a lot to the Stoke City manager, Steven Schumacher.
FA Cup's brilliant. It's one of the best competition. Obviously, growing up as a kid, I was an Everton fan. Loved the FA Cup. Went to the final in '95, the last time that we won it. So it's one of them. It's, as a player as well, it's something that you always enjoy getting involved in. If you can get on a good cup run, it was always brilliant. As a coach, I've had a couple of good experiences in the FA Cup. But yeah, it's an exciting day in the calendar, and for us to be in the 3rd round now playing a Premier League team, really excited for it.
Watching at the 365 Stadium for Football Live this afternoon, Ed Dowling. Good afternoon, Ed.
Good afternoon, Barry. I'm really happy to be here today. Should be a really good match. We've got 2 full-strength sides here at the 365 today. And of course, as he said there, Steven Schumacher is actually unbeaten as Stoke manager so far. So we should be in for a really good contest. Obviously, Brighton last year reached the semi-final, and they'd be looking to go one step further this year. And they have definitely indicated that with their team. It's a full-strength side, really, with Ferguson, Pedro and Gross all starting. But a nice return for Jakub Moder, who did his ACL in 2022 and has only just returned to see the side.
Well, we seem to have lost Ed Dowling there. We'll try and fix that connection for you.
Full strength side. And started to shoot a really good match. Really going very particularly way.
Yeah, Ed seems to have lost him there. He's coming in and going, but we hope to fix that connection for you in due course. But it is Stoke City against Brighton and Hove Albion this afternoon. Should be a good game, this one, at the 365. As you just mentioned there, Ed, Brighton semi-finalists last season. Stoke, in the not too distant past this century, have reached the final. So plenty to look forward to in that game. Now, Watford, well, they reached a final quite recently as well, just 5 years ago. Don't remind them that they lost 6-0 to Manchester City, a record defeat in a FA Cup final, a joint record defeat. There have been 2 6-0 victories in FA Cup finals down the years. Their opponents today are currently non-league, but to bounce back in the league this season, National League, Chesterfield will need to hang on to top spot, which they look as if they're capable of doing. They did reach in 1993 the semi-finals. They were 3-1 up against Middlesbrough whilst playing in what is now League One, the third tier. They're now a non-league side. Here is the Watford boss, and it's the one and only Valérien Ismaël speaking ahead of this potential banana skin of an FA Cup tie.
It's a challenge, but it's a home game, so we know that every cup game are difficult. We take the game seriously. We have to be very professional and to play on our level and to play with our intensity. We create a connection with our fans. And then now I think that our desire for 2024 is to create a home strength with our fan, and it's the first game of the season. It's a Graham Taylor day, so it's a lot of reason for us that we are focused on that game and we want to win the game.
Is there a shock in the offing at Vicarage Road? Well, there is one man who can probably tell us more than anyone else this afternoon. And watching at Vicarage Road is Mark Thomas. Good afternoon, Mark.
Good afternoon to you, Barry. Welcome to Vicarage Road. As you mentioned, top place National League team Chesterfield today are the visitors against the Championship's Watford. First FA Cup game for the Hornets, while the upstarts, the Spirits, as they're known, they beat Portsmouth and Leyton Orient 1-0 in the previous round, as well as beating Kettering. Watford manager Ismaël makes 5 changes from the side that drew 3-3 with Plymouth, including Nigerian Tom Dele Bashuru starts at right back. Chesterfield, as you said, Barry, missed out on that FA Cup spot in the final 1997, a controversial disallowed goal. The away fans will be hoping for some FA Cup drama and some magic today. Should be a great game. Underdogs, Chesterfield, I'm sure they're up for it.
Excellent. Thank you very much for that, Mark. The non-leaguers at Chesterfield. I can tell you there will be a non-league side through to the 4th round of the FA Cup. Maidstone United, who play in the National League North, that's the 6th tier, have beaten League One side Stevenage 1-0 this afternoon. Congratulations to them down at the Gallagher Stadium in Kent. Maidstone United, non-league Maidstone, through to the 4th round of the FA Cup thanks to an injury time first half penalty from Sam Corn. So well done to them. Maidstone 1, Stevenage 0 at the Gallagher Stadium. Moving on to our third of our featured matches this afternoon. Wayne Rooney was this week sacked as manager of Birmingham City. It's an all-championship clash as Hull City entertain Birmingham. Hull managed by Liam Rosenior, Rooney's former number 2 in his days in charge at Derby County. Filling Rooney's boots for this game is the Blues caretaker head coach Steve Spooner. Here's what he had to say to Football Live.
No, all I had was the phone call to ask me to step in, and I haven't asked anything else. I probably know as much from you guys as everybody else. But, you know, this is a big football club with big ambitions, so, you know, it's got to be a right appointment. And obviously every game that goes by where you don't win, confidence does get sapped, and that's been my job and the rest of the staff to pick them up. And maybe the FA Cup gives them a little bit of respite from the in and out of the league and 3 points, but it's, you know, it's imperative that we get through to the next round as well.
Well, maybe no Wayne Rooney, but Football Live's Tom Cooney is at the MKM. Good afternoon, Tom.
Good afternoon, Barry, and welcome to this all-championship clash here between Hull City and Birmingham City. The league picture very different for these two sides, with Hull just outside the playoffs. Birmingham down in 20th place, as you say, culminating in Wayne Rooney's sacking earlier this week. The Tigers themselves, though, on a poor run of form, losing 5 of the last 8 under Liam Rosenior. As you mentioned, Wayne Rooney's assistant back at Derby County. The FA Cup is going to be a welcome change for both these sides as they look for a morale-boosting win to set them up for the second half of the season. Host of changes for the home side today, although top scorer Aaron Connolly keeps his place up top, and Steve Spooner likewise ringing the changes for Birmingham. Veteran striker Lukas Djukovic back amongst the starting 11. Just a couple of minutes to go until kick-off. Looking forward to it here in Hull.
Thank you very much for that update, Tom Cooney, who is watching at the MKN. Hull City against Birmingham City, an all-championship affair in that game. Our final tie, the 4 o'clock kickoffs, takes us to West London. Queen's Park Rangers have shown a few signs of improvement in the Championship recently, but they're still in the relegation zone. Bournemouth, well, they're the visitors from the Premier League, and they're in great form at the moment. Here is the Bournemouth manager, Bruno Andone.
I think they've improved a lot. Even last couple of results have not been good. I think you see more detailed stats. They are not conceding goals. They have increased a lot the possession, and I think we have to be at our best, because I don't see them like a relegation team right now. But I think they are playing much better lately than it looks, according to the result. And as the coach said, I think yesterday, they've been very punished with the set pieces.
Watching at Loftus Road for Football Live this afternoon, it's hello to Matthew Key.
Hello Barry, good afternoon to our Football Live listeners, and what a pleasure it is to be here at Loftus Road, an old-fashioned stadium with lots of character, and the home team. Sadly for them, the FA Cup not a priority for today. They're very much a team looking to survive in the Championship after a really difficult start to the season. As you mentioned there, things looking slightly up. Talking of looking up, well, that brings us to Bournemouth. The informed team in the Premier League, won 4 of their last 5 before a really tough result away at Tottenham last week, where it could have gone either way, to be honest, despite the 3-1 scoreline. And Iraola, well, he's gone strong for the FA Cup. Really nice to see when a Premier League manager takes it seriously, and lots of those that normally start for Bournemouth included in the lineup today. The likes of Billing, David Brooks, Luis Sinisterra and Alex Scott, who's been really impressive since returning from injury. Really excited to watch Bournemouth today. Could be a year for them to go on a bit of a cut run. That is something that the Cherries would certainly love, with Premier League safety looking almost guaranteed now. Game's just kicked off here at Loftus Road. It's QPR against Bournemouth.
Excellent, thank you very much for that, Matt. Now, we lost Ed Dowling a little while ago. He is watching the game at the 365 Stadium this afternoon, Stoke City against Brighton. It has now kicked off. Let's see if we can link up with Ed and pick up where we left off, really. Ed, hopefully you can hear us loud and clear.
I can hear you loud and clear. I don't know what happened before, maybe some gremlins in the system at the 365, but yeah, hearing you very clear. We've just got kick-off here at the 365. Both teams going for it straight from the off, which is always really good to see.
Excellent, thank you very much, Ed. Good to see that he's back in contact with us, so we'll keep across that one and all our four Premier League, not Premier League this afternoon, it's FA Cup third round ties this afternoon that we are watching. It's Queen's Park Rangers against Bournemouth, Hull against Birmingham, Stoke against Brighton and Watford against Chesterfield. Later on, we've got Chelsea against Preston, Middlesbrough against Aston Villa. We'll also bet Hillsborough for Sheffield Wednesday against Cardiff. And in Italy, Lecce against bottom of the, not bottom of the table, but they're in the bottom 3, Cagliari. They really do need a result. In France and in Spain, there are cup games taking place this afternoon, including Lille against the Golden Lion. Sounds like a pub side from the outer reaches of London, but they are actually a French 5th tier side, and they're playing like a 5th tier side at the moment because Lille are 3-0 up on them. Edon Zegrova has just added a third after just 33 minutes. Atletico Madrid in action in the Cup this afternoon. They're away at 2nd tier high flyers Lugo. Could be a banana skin, this one, for Atletico Madrid, who have lost their last 4 away games, but they are 1-0 up after just 2 minutes. Angel Correa with the goal. So that brings you bang up to date with what's going on. Let's head around the ground, shall we? Nice and early with bringing us up to date with the early exchanges. Let's start at Loftus Road, shall we? Queen's Park Rangers against Bournemouth. QPR quite happy, I would imagine, to put their league campaign behind them at the moment. They come into this competition at the third round stage. They'll be in the first round next season if they get relegated, and that looks a distinct possibility unless they can continue their improvement. Bournemouth have been improving all the time. It's QPR against Bournemouth. Watching this one for us is Matthew Key.
Yeah, and it's a confident start for them, the Premier League team, as you'd expect, Barry. No Dominic Solanke today, which is the big one that's missing from Bournemouth, but it's not stopping them playing confident lead for the start. There's a huge away following as well that have travelled up from the south coast. That's great to see, and they've seen their side start well. Kiefer Moore, nice bit of hold-up play. Got the ball out wide. Sinisterra drilled it across the box, edge of the box, ran onto it was David Brooks, just fired over the top. So that's encouraging signs for Bournemouth. And as you'd expect, they're very much in control here. 4 minutes gone, and it's QPR 0, Bournemouth 0.
Thank you very much for that, Matt. It's Bournemouth in great form at the moment. Birmingham City were in great form, and then they sacked their manager, Peter Eustis, and they brought in Wayne Rooney, who had a torrid time, got sacked this week. Today, Birmingham City are away at Hull City, who are punching above their weight somewhat this season, doing really well, pushing towards the playoff places in the Championship. Hull City against Birmingham City at the MKM is being watched by Tom Cooney.
Yeah, just a couple of minutes so far, Barry, and you can see the difference in the confidence levels of the two sides. Birmingham kicked us off, and their first few contributions to the game were loose passes, long balls, and a bit of confusion, really. And then Hull, by the time they got on the ball, Harry Vaughan in the middle, who's really, really lively in the first couple of minutes, turning players, running in behind, a couple of nice passes into the box that nearly brought a chance about. Hull look like they've taken hold of the game now, and looks like they're going to be the side dictating it in these opening exchanges. We are 3 minutes gone. Hull 0, Birmingham City 0.
In League Two, Matt Smith scored after 4 minutes. He's the go-to man for Salford City. This is a bottom-of-the-table clash between two sides who look like they could fall back into non-league football. Salford 1, Forest Green Rovers 0. Forest Green now managed by the former Watford man Troy Deeney, who is the manager at Forest Green, but he's not giving the bottom club the best of starts this afternoon. But I can tell you, we've got our first goal in the FA Cup in our featured games.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
It's not in one of our 4 reported games that we've got reporters watching, but I can tell you it's Southampton 1, Walsall 0. Ryan Fraser, the former Bournemouth and Newcastle winger, has given the Saints an early lead in that game. Saints 18 unbeaten. They've won their last 7 at home, conceding just 1 goal in their last 5. That really isn't a surprise. But Walsall of League Two have won their last 3, including a 6-1 win away at quarter-finalists from last season's FA Cup, Grimsby Town, just a few days ago. And I can also tell you that Cambridge United, thanks to Jack Lancaster, have given the League One strugglers a lead against Blackburn Rovers. Now, Blackburn in the Championship have picked up just 1 point in their last 5 Championship matches. That was a draw against rock bottom Rotherham at home just a few days ago, bringing an end to 4 successive defeats up in Lancashire for Blackburn Rovers. They're losing at home to Cambridge United this afternoon. Let's get around those grounds and let's head to Vicarage Road. Watford against the non-leaguers Chesterfield. We've already heard news of a non-league club going through to round 4. Mark Thomas, any sign that Chesterfield could cause an upset this afternoon?
Well, it may well be on the cards, Barry. It's been a bit of a cagey start here, but quite competitive in the middle of the field. Asprilla has come closest as Livermore has. Livermore just had a terrific 25-yard shot, which the goalkeeper managed to grab quite comfortably. Asprilla has gone through a couple of times, as I mentioned. He's been looking quite threatening. He's turned the defender. He's had a shot on goal. And about the last minute and a half, Chesterfield have started to settle down a little bit. They've come back into the game. Quigley looks quite promising, cutting in from the right-hand side. Evenly balanced game right now. After 7 minutes, it is Watford 0, Chesterfield 0.
Thank you very much. Lille now 4-0 up after just 36 minutes against the Golden Lion. Well, it's Golden Lion. I'm calling them the Golden Lion. Sounds like a pub in London, doesn't it? Lille 4, Golden Lion 0. Jonathan David with the goal in that game. So FA Cup afternoon. I'll bring you bang up to date with the early results in just a couple of minutes' time. But in the meantime, we're going for a short break, and you are listening to Football Live.
Football Live. Football's never sounded so good. Umbrella FM every Saturday and Sunday.
Football Live continues its FA Cup adventure tomorrow afternoon. Join John Kane on the road to Wembley with all eyes on the tie of the round as Arsenal take on Liverpool at the Emirates. Holders Manchester City begin their defence of the trophy at home to Huddersfield Town. And Napoli look to pick up points on the road without Victor Osimhen. They go to Torino in our featured match in Italy in Serie A. Join us tomorrow afternoon on Football Live right here on Brila FM from 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Football Live exclusively covering the FA Cup, the greatest cup competition on the planet.
From the beginning.
Hit it, boys. You are listening to Football Live. Live and exclusive on Brila FM. Join from the corner where the big boys play.
And here it begins.
Football Live. Our proof that Sports Radio 88.9 Brila FM has gone beyond one league. Football Live. It takes you from country to country, venue to venue. Football Live. It's about eyewitness reports at match venues exclusively for Sports Radio 88.9 Brila FM.
I can tell you, no, I can't tell you anything.
Pity those poor North London supporters. Absolute chaos at the Etihad.
Yes, the goal has finally come.
Attack, attack, attack.
We've heard about the goat in the crowd. Is there a goal on the pitch?
It's Victor Osimhen with the goal.
And I'm sure most Chelsea fans out there listening will agree that that simply is not good enough.
We're zigzagging all over the United Kingdom.
And they've got to play 3-4-2, no, 3-4-3 looks like.
Get involved in NairaBet Sunday Special and net yourself a free bet. Arsenal take on Liverpool at the Emirates and we are giving away a 100% matched free bet up to 1,000 Naira. Whether you back the Gunners or the Reds, even if your bet does not win, you will still be eligible for the free bet. All you need to do is log in to www.nairabet.com, bet on Liverpool versus Arsenal, receive your free bet to use on any sports or virtuals. To qualify, just place a bet on either the pre-match markets or in play. Full details can be found on our promotions page. Must be over 18, minimum odds of 1.5. Must be a real money bet. Cashed out bets do not qualify. General and free bet terms and conditions apply. Please gamble responsibly. Let's get back to the action on Football Live.
Hit it, boys.
Powered by NairaBet. This is Football Live with Barry Swain.
Still waiting for our first goal in the FA Cup this afternoon in our 4 featured games. Don't forget, we've got Chelsea against Preston North End and Middlesbrough against Aston Villa, plus Sheffield Wednesday against Cardiff coming up later on. We'll go round the grounds in just a few moments' time. Last time we were giving you an update in France, it was Lille 4, the Golden Lion 0. There's 3 minutes to half-time. It's now Lille 6, Golden Lion 0. Looks like that one could be heading for 10. It might be heading for 10 in Wales as well. The unbeaten top side, New Saints, 2-0 up 10 minutes before half-time against Cardiff, who have had a man sent off. That's Cardiff Metropolitan University, not Cardiff City. In the FA Cup, Ashley Barnes has scored for Norwich City. They lead League One Bristol Rovers by a 1-0. Let's get off to the game between Stoke City and Brighton and Hove Albion. Ed Dowling can tell us about a chance for the Premier League side.
Oh, they should have gone 1-0 up. It was such a good effort from João Pedro. He picked the ball up in the edge of the box, cuts onto his favoured right foot, drills the ball across the goal, and it deflects off a defender. And there's Buonanotte at the back post, just to nod it in, completely open goal, and he misses the target. It goes out for a corner. Really, really close. I hate to think the XG would have been on that chance there, but Brighton inches away from going 1-0 up, but it's still 0-0 here at the 365. 12 minutes gone.
Thank you very much for that. Thank you very much for that, Ed. Tom Cooney is watching the game between Hull City and Birmingham City this afternoon. MKM Stadium is the place to be, but not for Wayne Rooney. He was sacked earlier this week. Here's Tom Cooney to bring us bang up to date with the action.
Yeah, that's right, Barry. But his old side have settled in the last few minutes. It's got a nice free flow to the game. Players that maybe haven't been playing much with a chance to impress. We've seen a couple of nice dummies and chops. A lot of expression going on. Birmingham just had the first chance of the game. It was Dembele that got the ball in the midfield and slipped in Lukas Djukovic down the left-hand side. The angle was a little bit tight. His shot rifled in towards the goal. Ryan Alsop made the save quite easy. But Birmingham, they've actually taken this game now, and they're the side that's doing the pressing. So that could be a Could be happening to and fro all afternoon. With 12 minutes gone, it remains Hull City 0, Birmingham 0.
Thank you very much for that, Tom. I can tell you that Frosinone 0, Monza 2 is a latest in Italy. In the early kick-off, the Portuguese Dani Motta giving Monza the lead, and Valentine Carboni following it up with a second. Frosinone 4-0 winners in the Cup recently at Napoli, but they have lost their last 3 league matches. It's only 1 win in 5 for Monza, but they are on their way, it would seem, to 3 points this afternoon. Lille are on their way to an emphatic victory in the French Cup. Every time you come to me, I can tell you of another goal in that game. It's now Lille 7. That's right, Lille 7, Golden Lion 0, and I can tell you that is a half-time score. And the New Saints in Wales, the leaders, unbeaten, are leading Cardiff Metropolitan University 3-0, and the university side down to 10 men. So it looks like there's going to be a few goals in that game as well. Earlier on, full-time in an international friendly, South Korea beating Iraq by 1-0. J.C. Son with a goal just before half-time. Heung-min Son of Tottenham played in the second half of that game, and a good win for South Korea in the build-up to the AFC Asian Cup.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
And I can tell you that Stoke City, having almost conceded to Brighton and Hove Albion when we heard from Ed Dowling a few minutes ago, have now gone and taken the lead in that game. Jean-Paul Van Heck has scored an own goal, and it's Stoke City 1, Brighton and Hove Albion 0. We'll be across to hear about that goal from Ed Dowling in a few moments' time. Let's catch up with our producer and our betting expert in-house today, John Kane. John, good afternoon. How are you?
Good afternoon, and I'll play this one first.
Here's John Kane with all the very latest odds from NairaBet.
Yes, good afternoon everyone. Just give you the latest odds from NairaBet. Of course, all these prices are subject to change. We've just heard that Stoke have taken the lead against Brighton by 1-0. So Stoke are still a good value for the money. They're 3.0 for the win. The draw has just gone down to 3.50, and Brighton are still favourites for that game. They are 2.30. The other games that we're concentrating on, QPR Bournemouth is still 0-0. QPR at home are 6.0 for the win. It's just gone down for the draw to 4.0, and Bournemouth are 1.57. The third game that we're concentrating on is Watford against Chesterfield. Still 0-0. Watford at 1.44 for the win. The draw is 4.75, and an away win for Chesterfield is 6.50. As for the Hull game against Birmingham, still 0-0 in that game as well. Hull are 2.38 for the win. The draw has just gone down to 3.25, and an away win for Birmingham has gone down to 3.0, but Hull still remains slightly favourite in that game. Some of the other games, Sheffield United are leading Gillingham by 1-0 away from home. They are 1.30 for the win. The draw is 5.50, and the home win for Gillingham is 9.50. Also give you the odds for Norwich. They are 1-0 at home to Bristol Rovers. Norwich has gone down to 2.15 for the win. The draw is 3.30, and it's just gone off the Bristol Rovers by 3.50. And finally, Blackburn at home. They are losing to Cambridge United by 1-0, but they are still favourites. They are 2.10 for the win. The draw is 3.75, and finally, Cambridge United are 3.20. Of course, all these prices are from NairaBet, and it's all subject to change.
Thank you very much, John. Gillingham 0, Sheffield United 1, as you've just mentioned. William Osula with the goal. Norwich City 1, Bristol Rovers 1, an equaliser there for the League One side. Grant Ward scoring at Carrow Road. And Plymouth, who are in the Championship, thanks to a Luke Cundle goal, I beg your pardon, are leading against League Two strugglers Sutton United by 1-0.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
And I can tell you there has been a goal in the game between Hull City and Birmingham City, and it's gone the way of Birmingham City. Get rid of your manager, and there's suddenly an upturn in form. So Hull City 0, Birmingham City 1. We'll hear all about that goal in a minute. Let's hear all about our first goal in our featured games, and it's an own goal. Ed Dowling, a great way to get our goal fest underway, it seems.
Yes, great way for the show, but not a great way at all for Paul van Hekke. It's a really bad own goal, I have to say. It's really good work from Bae Yun Ho. Runs down the right wing, he does a 1-2 with Kiana Hova, ball across the box, and Van Hekke just can't sort his feet out on the back post, just stumbles over the ball and just passes it into his own net. Really quite a bizarre goal to concede, but we could have an upset on our hands here. Brighton dominated the ball, but it's 1-0 here to Stoke, 19 minutes gone.
Thank you very much for that. And we've also heard that there's been a goal in the game between Hull City and Birmingham City. To hear all about it, here's Tom Cooney.
Yeah, Barry, moments before Lukas Djukovic missed an absolute sitter just in the 6-yard box, an open goal almost. He's not let it affect him. The next attack that Birmingham have had, he himself wins the ball from a loose pass in the midfield, plays it out wide, carries his run on into the box. The ball is whipped in and it's a fantastic diving header across his man to glance the ball into the far corner. It's a brilliant, brilliant header, something we've seen him do so many times down the years to give Birmingham City the lead. It's Hull 0, Birmingham City 1.
Thank you very much for that. Let's head over to West London and to Loftus Road. Still waiting for our first goal in this game. Queen's Park Rangers against the informed Birmingham City. Here's Matthew Key.
Yes, still no goals here, Barry. QPR slightly getting into the game a bit more, and I'll tell you something I'm loving about this one, Barry. We talk about the history of the FA Cup. Something so historical with the English game is big men up top, and we've got two on either side here. Kiefer Moore for Bournemouth and Lyndon Dykes for QPR. Both those old school centre forwards, and they've both come close in the last couple of minutes. Firstly, it was Dykes with a really good header. Cross was whipped in by Dazelle with plenty of pace on it, and a really good glancing header from Dykes had Travers just standing there and hoping it went over, which it just did, going onto the roof of the net. And then Kiefer Moore, really good ball in from Sinistera, and the Bournemouth striker had to run on his defender and got up well and would feel like he should have at least hit the target. Headed wide and over and not very handsome. Game warming up slightly. Bournemouth very much in control, but QPR starting to gain a bit of confidence in this one. 21 minutes gone, still QPR 0, Bournemouth 0.
Thank you very much, Matt. Former QPR man Charlie Austin has scored from the penalty spot for Swindon, who lead struggling Colchester by a 1-0 in League 2. Birmingham just hit the bar, by the way. We'll hear more about that in a short while. Let's head to Vicarage Road. We haven't been down there too often so far. Watford 0, Chesterfield, the non-leaguers 0 was the latest. Any signs of an opening goal, Mark?
No clear-cut chances, really, Barry, to be honest. Even Stevens is the best way to describe it. But, Chesterfield are no pushovers. They're playing with intent. They haven't come to get a draw, to get a home replay. They've started on the last couple of minutes, been on the front foot. Dobra has been impressive. Interesting battle in midfield with him and Livermore. It's a good midfield battle. We had an interesting weird incident a few minutes ago. We had a foul throw. The Nigerian, he was 2 feet inside the line. That's about the result of the excitement here. Still, it's a battle, and it's going to stay that way. After 21 minutes, it is still 0-0.
Thank you very much, Mark Thomas. Blackburn Rovers have equalised against Cambridge United in the third round of the FA Cup. The Championship strugglers are in poor form at the moment. Sammy Schmodics has scored for Blackburn against Cambridge United, a former Peterborough player who are Cambridge United's biggest arch rivals locally. So that wouldn't have gone down too well with the large army of Cambridge fans that have made the journey up north for that one. In Italy, the one game that's currently playing, it was 2-0 last time we heard, to Monza away at Frosinone. Would have gone 3-0 up now. Matthias Sulla making it 3-0 10 minutes after the restart, but almost straight away at the other end, Abdul Haru has scored for Frosinone. It's Frosinone 1, Monza 3. And Mitch Duke has just scored a second for Australia, who lead against Bahrain this afternoon in an international friendly in Abu Dhabi. Amin Benadi had put through his own net earlier on in that game. It's Bahrain 0, Australia 2 in the warm-up to the AFC Asian Cup, which comes up very soon. Let's get across to the game between Hull and Birmingham. We heard from Tom Cooney not 3 or 4 minutes ago, really, when he told us about an opening goal for Birmingham, and they nearly followed it up, Tom, with a second.
Yeah, it's not quite new manager bounce, but maybe interim manager bounce. Birmingham looking like a really confident side now after that first goal. It was Dembele this time with another wave coming forward. He carried it and carried it and carried it into the box. He's got very quick feet. No one wanted to put in a challenge. And he dug out a strike with his left foot, and it rifled off the underside of the bar, bounced down and went the other way for Birmingham, the right way for Hull. They survived for now, but it's all Birmingham at this point. It's, what are we, 22 minutes gone. Hull 0, Birmingham City 1.
Excellent. Thank you very much for that, Tom. Earlier on today in Italy, Inter Milan stretched their lead at the top to 5 points, returning from a very short international break to beat struggling Verona at the San Siro 2-1. David Fratesi scoring in the 94th minute. Darko Lazovic controversially sent off pretty much the same time for Verona. Controversial scenes, but Inter took all 3 points and they are now 5 clear of Juve at the top. Verona still in the bottom 3 down at the wrong end of the table. In the FA Cup, AFC Wimbledon 1, Ipswich Town 3. The High Flyers in the Championship back to winning ways. The Congolese Axel Twenzebe, who missed out on the AFCON squad for Congo, is amongst the goal scorers. Harry Pell sent off there for the Dons. Millwall 2, Leicester 3 sounds like a very exciting game. The Italian Chelsea loanee Cesar Cassidy scoring for Leicester City. Tommy Cannon also on target for Leicester in that 3-2 win in London. Coventry City 6, Oxford 2 at the CBS. 4 goals in the opening 21 minutes of that game, including a goal from the Jamaican international Joel Latibeaudiere. And that's a good win for Coventry through to the next round of the Cup. Sunderland 0, Newcastle 3 in the Time Wear derby. 2 goals for Alexandra Isak, 1 from the penalty spot and an own goal, giving Newcastle a comfortable win at their near neighbours. And Maidstone United of the National League South have beaten League One Stevenage. Shock of the round so far at the Gallagher Stadium. Maidstone 1, Stevenage 0. Sam Corn with a first half stoppage time penalty to give the non-league minnows a place in round 4. Also, Fleetwood have lost at home to Derby County in League One. Charlie Adam, the former Liverpool man, in charge for the first home game for Fleetwood, but it's 2 defeats out of 2 now for him. Derby winning comfortably. They're in good form and pushing for promotion, although they did lose for the first time in 9 at home to Peterborough on New Year's Day. Fleetwood now 11 without a win. In League Two, Harrogate have beaten Doncaster 3-1 at home. Rare home win for them. Let's go to Vicarage Road. There's been a chance for Watford and a yellow card for Chesterfield. Mark Thomas.
Yes, it's got interesting in the last couple of seconds here, Barry, last couple of minutes. A wonderful chance. Coney went through after a mistake by the Chesterfield defence, but the goalkeeper came out and smothered the ball. Only clear chance so far for either team. And we did have a yellow card a couple of minutes ago for Joe Quigley, the Chesterfield defender. He was complaining about a decision that didn't go his way. That's about it here, but it's a lively game, and really, anybody that's going to take a bet on this needs to stay put. It's still 0-0.
Well, thank you very much for that. I can tell you, Sully Kakai has scored for Cambridge, now 2-1 up, back ahead at Blackburn Rovers.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
Well, we've just left Vicarage Road, where we heard it was 0-0 when we caught up with Mark Thomas. Earlier on today, we heard of a non-league side making it through. And that was, of course, Maidstone United who beat Stevenage. Well, I can tell you, Chesterfield have taken the lead at Vicarage Road. Is there to be a second non-league side to make it through against Hertfordshire opposition this afternoon? Mark Thomas, tell us all about this goal.
Well, it was a wonderful goal coming down the right-hand side. They got down to the byline, they crossed the ball in, and the guy that just got a yellow card a few minutes ago, Joe Quigley, made very, very quick amends, completely unmarked, about 2 yards out. and he put the ball firmly into the back of the net. So there could be a big surprise here. And indeed, that banana skin is looking more and more likely, Barry. It's 1-0 to Chesterfield.
Thank you very much, Mark. We love a good FA Cup shock here. And Joe Quigley is the man to bring it to us, it seems. Watford 0, Chesterfield 1 is a latest score in the FA Cup. Cambridge United causing an upset as well. Sully Kakai, as we just mentioned, has given them the lead for the second time this afternoon. They lead at Blackburn by 2-0. Now, Chelsea are in action a little bit later on. Mauricio Pochettino, we'll hear from him a little bit later about the game itself. But here he is, part of his press conference yesterday, talking about Chelsea's January transfer plans.
Yes, not really. We need to sit together like an official meeting. I think we are always, every single day, talking and assessing the squad. I think now it's open the market, and yes, I think it's with some players that we own, like Andrei Santos, that is come back from the loan on Nottingham Forest, player that we need to take some decision. But I think I am happy with the squad that we have. I am focused, and we are focusing trying to recover the player as soon as possible. At the moment, yes, we are assessing the things. We've seen the squad and see some possibility, maybe we can do or not. But at the moment, we didn't take any decision.
Well, that was Mauricio Pochettino. And of course, later on this afternoon, we have Chelsea against Preston North End in the FA Cup. We've also got a really good tie coming up, which is Middlesbrough, who were also playing Chelsea later this week in the first leg of the Carabao Cup semi-final. They are at home to Aston Villa. Should be a really good game, that one. And Sheffield Wednesday as well, also in action this afternoon at home in an all-championship affair against Cardiff City. Now, let's catch up, shall we, on a couple of the games that are going on this afternoon. We've had a goal in the game at Watford. We've had a goal in the game at Stoke. We've had a goal in the game at Hull. But so far, nothing at Queen's Park Rangers against Bournemouth. Let's go and see if Matthew Key is any closer to bringing us the full house of goals in our 4 featured games in the first half.
Oh, sorry to say, Barry, not yet, but we've just had the best chance of the game so far on the half-hour mark, and it was Bournemouth and Phillips Billing that had it. He's always so clinical in front of goal, so composed, so it's just a surprise to see him miss this one. But it was Sinisterra once again. He's causing all sorts of problems down the QPR right-hand side. They're not being able to live with him. They're doubling up on him. It still really isn't making much difference. Does so well. Pulls the ball back to the edge of the box, and there's Billing, and he does well to get his head over it and keep it down, but he just misses the target, drags it wide. Should be doing a lot better. Asmir Begovic, of course, the former Bournemouth goalkeeper, should have been tested there, but for now, him and QPR still holding firm. We've played 32 minutes in this one, and it's still QPR 0, Bournemouth 0.
Excellent, thank you very much for that, Matt. Charlton ahead in League One away at Port Vale by a goal to nil. Corey Blackett-Taylor scoring for Charlton in that game. Of course, Joe Quigley scoring for Chesterfield. 2 non-league sides potentially through to the next round of the Cup. Well, Chesterfield has still got quite a way to go. But yeah, it's 1-0 against Watford. And we'll be around the grounds in a few minutes' time to catch up with our 4 games that are taking place this afternoon, our 4 featured games in the FA Cup. Just to bring you up to date, Queen's Park Rangers 0, Bournemouth 0, Hull City 0, Birmingham 1, Stoke City 1, Brighton 0. So maybe a Premier League big gun on their way out of the Cup there. And the big one, Watford 0, non-league Chesterfield 1. And to come later, we've got Chelsea against Preston North End, Middlesbrough against Aston Villa, and Sheffield Wednesday against Cardiff City. Wednesday in good form at the moment. Cardiff are better away from home than they are at home, and recently won at Hillsborough in the league. We'll be taking a short break right now, and we'll be back around the grounds to bring you bang up to date with our featured games in the FA Cup third round. You are listening to Football Live.
Football Live. Football's never sounded so good on Brilla FM every Saturday and Sunday.
Football Live continues its FA Cup adventure tomorrow afternoon. Join John Kane on the road to Wembley with all eyes on the tie of the round as Arsenal take on Liverpool at the Emirates. Holders Manchester City begin their defence of the trophy at home to Huddersfield Town. And Napoli look to pick up points on the road without Victor Osimhen. They go to Torino in our feature match in Italy in Serie A. Join us tomorrow afternoon on Football Live right here on Brilla FM from 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Football Live exclusively covering the FA Cup, the greatest cup competition on the planet.
From the beginning.
Hit it, boys. You are listening to Football Live. Live and exclusive on Brilla FM. Join round the corner where the big boys play.
And here it begins.
Football Live. Our proof that Sports Radio 88.9 Brilla FM has gone beyond one league. Football Live. It takes you from country to country, venue to venue. Football Live. It's about eyewitness reports at match venues exclusively for Sports Radio 88.9 Brilla FM.
I can tell you, no, I can't tell you anything.
Pity those poor North London supporters. Absolute chaos at the Etihad.
Yes, the goal has finally come.
Attack.
We've heard about the goat in the crowd. Is there a goal on the pitch?
Is Victor Osimhen with the goal.
And I'm sure most Chelsea fans out there listening will agree that that simply is not good enough.
We're zigzagging all over the United Kingdom.
And they've got to play 3-4-3 looks like.
Get involved in NairaBet Sunday Special and net yourself a free bet. Arsenal take on Liverpool at the Emirates and we are giving away a 100% matched free bet up to 1,000 Naira. Whether you back the Gunners or the Reds, even if your bet does not win, you will still be eligible for the free bet. All you need to do is log in to www.nairabet.com. Bet on Liverpool versus Arsenal. Receive your free bet to use on any sports or virtuals. To qualify, just place a bet on either the pre-match markets or in play. Full details can be found on our promotions page. Must be over 18, minimum odds of 1.5. Must be a real money bet. Cashed out bets do not qualify. General and free bet terms and conditions apply. Please gamble responsibly. Let's get back to the action on Football Live.
Hit it, boys.
Powered by NairaBet. This is Football Live with Barry Swain.
Welcome back to this Football Live show, the first of 2024, and it's an FA Cup special. Blackburn 2, Cambridge United 0. Sammy Smodics has scored for the second time this afternoon for Rovers. For the second time this afternoon, they've equalised against the League One opponents, 1-1 in that game. There is a game taking place this afternoon involving non-league Eastleigh. They're away at Newport County. Still 0-0 in that game, but George Langston of Eastleigh has just been shown a straight red card just before half-time. Still 0-0, but that's a big blow to the non-leaguers on an afternoon when the non-leaguers have been doing quite well. Let's go round the grounds. We'll start at Queen's Park Rangers. Matthew Key can tell us about a really good opportunity for the Premier League side, Bournemouth.
Yeah, and it was Alex Scott, the teenage sensation, that had it dancing feet, all his own work. Went past about 2 QPR players, driving into the box, shot left-footed, low, hard, and forced a really good save out of Asmir Begovic, the most he's been tested this afternoon. Went out for a corner which QPR dealt with well, and just then for the home team, Sinclair Armstrong had a shot. Comfortable save for Travers, but that's QPR's first shot on target of the game so far. It's warming up nicely, this one. Bournemouth very much in control, but to be fair to QPR, offering a bit on the counter-attack. 38 gone, still QPR 0, Bournemouth 0.
Thank you very much, Matt. Matt watching the one game of the 10 games played in the FA Cup this afternoon with 3 o'clock UK time, kickoffs 4 o'clock West African time. That is the only game without a goal this afternoon so far, but we will find one, I'm pretty sure, in due course. Let's go round the grounds. Watford behind the Championship side to the National League, non-league side Chesterfield, and since taking the lead, Mark Thomas, have they looked comfortable, Chesterfield, or have Watford woken up?
Well, Chesterfield have looked comfortable, Barry. They've been pushing forward. Some wonderful play down the left-hand side. Some combination plays from Horton, Dobra and Banks are very impressive. Got the ball through, but the final pass just lacking. Asprilla has looked the brightest player for Watford down the right-hand side. He's been off to the races a few times, but again, you know, it's that final quality ball that's lacking from him. It's even Stevens. I'd say right now the Watford fans are more uncomfortable than the Chesterfield fans, as we're about 7 minutes away from halftime. We are still on for a big shock here. It is Watford 0, Chesterfield 1.
Thank you very much for that, Mark. Lugo, who play in the second tier of the Spanish football, have equalised just before half-time against Atletico Madrid in the Spanish Cup this afternoon. Leandro Antonetti with an equalising goal in the Copa del Rey. Maybe a shock there. Atletico have lost their last 3 away games. They play Real Madrid in an all-Madrid derby this Wednesday in the Spanish Super Cup. But Lugo, who haven't won in their last 2, have equalised in that game. William Asula has scored his second goal of the afternoon at Priestfield. League 2, Gillingham 0, Sheffield United 2 now in the FA Cup. That looked a real banana skin, but it looks like Sheffield United are cruising. We said there were 10 ties in the FA Cup this afternoon. The only game that didn't have a goal was Queen's Park Rangers against Bournemouth.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
But not no more. Let's go to Matthew Key, who can tell us all about an opening goal for the home side, Queen's Park Rangers.
Yes, Loftus Road is up and bouncing because the home side have got the lead. Hoops goes round Loftus Road, and it is Armstrong that has got the goal. Sinclair Armstrong that has got the goal. And what a goal it is as well. Some really nice build-up play from QPR, keeping the ball at the back, almost inviting Bournemouth on for the press. And all of a sudden, the ball goes over the top. And there's Armstrong. He outmuscles Senesi, gets the better of the Bournemouth defender. He's in on goal, and can he finish? Yes, he can. Lovely finish past Travers into the far corner and runs over to the corner flag to celebrate with the QPR fans. They've been under the cosh a bit the last few minutes, but just worked their way into it, and now they've got a goal and something to hold on to. It's QPR 1, Bournemouth 0.
In Italy, Pierluigi Fratali has been sent off for Frosinone, who are 3-1 down at home to Monza in Serie A this afternoon at the Stadio Benito Stop. Let's head to Ed Dowling next. Could be a shock on the cards. In fact, before we do that, let me tell you, when goals come along in London, they come along like London buses.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
It's now Queen's Park Rangers 2, Bournemouth 0. Maybe another Premier League side heading towards defeating the FA Cup, Matthew Key.
Oh my word, Barry, I can hardly contain myself here. I've just sat down after the first goal, and you're coming to me again, and Bournemouth are picking the ball out their net again. It's Lyndon Dykes this time. I mentioned about him earlier in the game. It's Armstrong again that is he's the orchestrator this time. Playing with confidence down the left-hand side, slips in Dykes. He finishes easily past Trafford's really powerful shot, bottom corner, and all of a sudden Bournemouth have got absolute mountain to climb here. 42 minutes gone out of nowhere. It's QPR 2, Bournemouth 0.
Thank you very much, Matthew Key. Quick reminder, we will be back in West London this afternoon for Chelsea against Preston North End. One of 3 games being covered later on this afternoon. We spoke earlier about Lille scoring goal after goal after goal today in their cup tie against 5th tier Golden Lion in the French Cup. It's now Lille 8, Golden Lion 0, Thiago Santos the latest to score, and New Saints are playing against 10-man Cardiff Metropolitan University, trying to keep up. They're only 5-0 up though in that game. They're both into the second half, those games, early stages, second half. 5-0 to New Saints, 8-0 to Lille. We'll keep a close eye on those goal fests as the afternoon goes on. Let's go to Ed Dowling. We promised we'd go to Ed Dowling, and then the ball went into the back of the net down at Loftus Road. Let's go to that game at, where is it? It's at the 365 Stadium, isn't it? And there could be a shock on the cards here, Ed, I think.
Could be indeed. I think this is turning into exactly the game that Roberto De Zerbi did not want it to turn into. It's been stop-start, there's been injuries, yellow cards flying. We've just seen Mehdi Lloris for Stoke go down with what looks to be quite a nasty head injury, so he's being taken off. But Brighton haven't really produced anything of note so far, apart from two Facundo Buonanotte chances, one of which just happened where he fired the ball just past the post. He looked frustrated, beating the ground in anger. So it's not been a great day for Brighton so far. This would be a really poor result for them, but we're just approaching half-time here. I'm expecting a lot of time to be added on. It's 1-0 to Stoke City.
Excellent. Let's go to Tom Cooney and get an update from the All-Championship game between Hull City and Birmingham City. Birmingham sacking Wayne Rooney this week, and they've responded with, so far, a good performance this afternoon, I think it's fair to say, Tom.
Yeah, both sides are actually knocking it around quite well now. It's always a wonder, when you have so many changes on both sides, how it's going to affect the game, but it's a really good game here at Hull. Birmingham happy to sit in at the moment, leading the game 1-0. It's going to take something special from Hull. They had a half chance a minute ago. Jason Lakilo, who's looked sharp down the right-hand side, cutting onto his left and firing a ball across, and it was the centre-back, Andy Smith. All he needed was a glance and he would have scored, but I think he didn't get anything on it in the end. Other than that, on the other side, Harry Vaughan, 19 years old, has looked really, really sharp so far. Everything Hull do, other than the chance I just mentioned, seems to be going through him, so he's definitely one to watch. We are 2 minutes to go until half-time. It remains Hull City 0, Birmingham City 1.
Thank you very much for that, Tom. And so, in the FA Cup, let's bring you bang up to date. The half-time whistle's just starting to sound. Plymouth ahead against Sutton United, 1-0, Championship beaten League 2. No real surprise there. Gillingham losing 2-0 at home to Sheffield United. It's Newport 0, 10-man Eastleigh 0. Latest in that game. That's a half-time. That's the only game now without a goal. I did say that it was the only game without a goal was Queen's Park Rangers Bournemouth. That one fell off the radar at the bottom of my page, but still 0-0 that one. Blackburn 2, Cambridge 2. Sounds like a good game. That Southampton leading Walsall. Norwich 1-1 with Bristol Rovers, and in our 4 featured games, Watford 0, Chesterfield 1, Stoke 1, Brighton 0, Hull 0, Birmingham City 1, and Queen's Park Rangers 1, Bournemouth 0. It's fair to say that all 4 of those featured games are going, perhaps you could say, the way of the underdog, because even in the All-Championship affair, Hull are above Birmingham City in the table with some to spare. So there are shocks in all 4 of our featured games this afternoon in the FA Cup. Now, before we go around the grounds again, what we could do is we could hear from Pep Guardiola, who spoke this week about the transfer window and also a very quiet January for Manchester City. Only 3 games.
You're coming to a month where you've only got 3 matches, and it seems as though everything's spread out. You're going to be able to work with your players.
Yeah, but it's fine. So I think the Premier League took a great decision. So to make intense in Boxing Days in Christmas time, like always have been, but that's in January, make a break for the teams. Especially playing Europe competitions helps a lot to wrap February a little bit fresh mentally. So yeah, it's what it is. So in the past was more games. We did it. We won a lot even with the tough period, but it's good now to have, of course, FA Cup, to try to retain the title or arrive as far as possible, and have to have a really important game in Newcastle, and have to have 2 weeks to refresh, especially our minds.
So that was Pep Guardiola. And let's head to Vicarage Road, but they're just moving into injury time. Mark Thomas, the non-leaguer, is still leading. A couple of yellow cards to tell us about.
Yes, there was an off-the-ball incident, Barry, involving the captain for Watford, Hoyt, and Banks. A little bit of argy-bargy off the ball. Looked like an elbow was thrown, but they both got a yellow card for it. and that took place just a couple of minutes ago. It's just gone half-time here. It is still 1-0 to the non-league leaders, Chesterfield. They look in control. They look composed. Watford are almost relying on some counter-attack football down the right-hand side. That's about the best that they've been doing. They've had a few corners, but nothing has really come of it. At half-time, Barry, it is still the shock on the cards here. Chesterfield 1, Watford 0.
Håkon Haraldsson has scored a 9th goal for Lille, who have beaten the Golden Lion 9-0 this afternoon. And the bad news for Golden Lion is they've still got 25 minutes to try and prevent Lille from scoring a 10th goal in that game. That was a penalty, by the way, from Håkon Haraldsson. Half-time, Blackburn Rovers 3, Cambridge United 2. Sammy Schmodix, the former Peterborough man, scoring against Peterborough's main rivals, Cambridge United. He scored a hat-trick in the first half there, and it's 3-2. What a cup tie that is turning into. The new Colchester United manager, Danny Cowley, taking charge for the first time this afternoon. It's Swindon 2, Colchester 1. Matt Jay scoring the first goal for the new Colchester manager to reduce the deficit deep into stoppage time in that League 2 encounter. Let's head off. Where should we go next? Let's go to Loftus Road and catch up with Matthew Key, where the half-time whistle has blown and there could be a shock on the cards.
Yes, half-time that is mainly made up of 2 minutes, to be honest with you, Barry. Two very quick for Queen's Park Rangers goals have got them in the lead at half-time. Sinclair Armstrong first, a really nice team move and a really composed finish from the midfielder. And then he was in the action again to set up Lyndon Dykes, who doubled the QPR lead and almost, to be honest, sent the QPR fans into shock, because with a heavily rotated team, I don't think they'd have expected this, nor will Iraola, who I'm sure will have plenty of words to say at half-time. And he's made a few changes to this Bournemouth team, but not as many as you'd expect. So this is a big surprise. It's half-time here at Loftus Road, and it's QPR 2, Premier League Bournemouth 0.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
I can tell you the Brighton and Hove Albion have equalised away at Stoke City on a stroke of half-time. It's now Stoke 1, Premier League, Brighton and Hove Albion 1. Looked like there could be a shock on the cards there. Brighton, semi-finalists last season, have equalised in that game. Purvis Estupiñán 6 minutes into stoppage time, and we'll hear all about that one in just a second. And the half-time whistle has blown at Hull against Birmingham. Here's Tom Cooney.
Yeah, Barry, really good game of football here at the MKM Stadium in Hull, and it's Birmingham City that go in at half-time with the lead. Lukas Djukovic, the man who got the goal, a couple of minutes before he did that, he missed what you really need to see this. In the 6-yard box, he had a chance, probably one of the easiest ones he'll ever get, and he dragged it wide. Very, very easy chance. And then a couple of minutes later, Cody Promet on the right wing that whipped in a deep cross, sweeping into the box, and it's a much more difficult chance. And Lukas Djukovic dived, threw himself across the defender and glanced a fantastic header into the far corner, putting away the more difficult chance of the two. Since then, it's been chances at both ends. Like I say, a really, really good game, and you think there's a few more twists and turns to come yet here in Hull. Half-time, it's Hull City 0, Birmingham 1.
Excellent. Let's hear about that goal, and indeed the half-time whistle has blown at the 3-6-5. Ed Dowling.
Yeah, well, it seems Purvis Estupiñán only scores brilliant goals. It's very similar to what he got at Tottenham. He chests it down 18 yards out on the half volley, smashes it past Iverson. He had no chance. And that was to make it 1-1. Earlier in the first half, we saw Van Hecke score a hideous own goal after some great work on the right side from Kiana Hova. Overall, it's been quite a stop-start game. Brighton have not got into their rhythm, but that goal just before half-time really might set the standard for the second half. At half-time here at Stoke City, it's 1-1.
And there could be a shock on the cards at Vicarage Road. Championship, Watford are playing non-league Chesterfield. And at half-time, Mark, it's fair to say that shock is very much on its way.
Oh yes, it's looking like some real FA Cup drama, Barry. Right now at half-time it is Watford 0, non-league leaders, National League leaders Chesterfield 1. Great goal, Mandeville with a pass down to Banks down the right-hand side. He took it all the way down the line, crossed it into the 6-yard box, completely unmarked, came charging in Quigley. Buried the ball in the back of the net. Fantastic game. The second half should be a cracker.
Excellent. Thank you very much for that, Tom. So there you have it. Queen's Park Rangers 2, Bournemouth 0. Bournemouth in big trouble in West London. Hull City 0, Birmingham 1. Stoke City 1, Brighton 1, and Watford 0. Chesterfield 1. The non-leaguers are winning. And of course, Maidstone beating Stevenage earlier. They're through. Now is the time to hand you back to Brilla FM and update you with all the latest in the socials. And we'll be back here on Football Live in a short while.
Hit it, boys.
Powered by NairaBet. This is Football Live with Barry Swain.
Yes, we're just kicking off in the FA Cup third rounds. The 4 o'clock West African time kickoffs are just getting underway. Those second halves, there's some shocks in the offing this afternoon in the FA Cup third round. Sutton United caused a few in their time, didn't they, as a non-league club? They're currently languishing down near the bottom of League 2. They are a Football League club. They could well drop out of the EFL this year. But they have equalised away at Plymouth Argyle this afternoon, 5 minutes into the second half. Lee Angle with the equaliser away at the Championship side, who are without a manager at the moment. Plymouth 1, Sutton United 1. And Lille have scored a couple more goals. It's now Lille 11, the Golden Lion 0. Jonathan David and Hakon Haraldsson are both on 2 goals in that game. Earlier on today in the Tyne and Wear derby, there was a victory for Newcastle United. They beat Sunderland away from home by 3-0, a result that delighted their manager Eddie Howe.
Yeah, it feels great. I never felt that way about the draw. I thought it was always a really good thing for us, providing you win it. Of course, if you don't win it, then it's difficult. But I thought the lads were excellent today. I thought we did a really professional job. Didn't let them get any head of steam up, use the crowd, everything that they were trying to do. I thought we took away from them in the first half. I thought it was better. I still feel we're a little bit off our best, but it was a really big step forward in the right direction. And I think we've had a little bit of training time. We want a little bit more, and hopefully the forward momentum now can continue.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
Well, we heard there from Eddie Howe. Newcastle United safely through to the fourth round, I should say, of the FA Cup. But Bournemouth could well be going out. They're 2-0 down away at QPR, but I can tell you they've brought a goal back into that game. Marcus Tavernier has scored the goal, and to tell us all about it, here's Matthew Key.
Yeah, it's obviously something about that end of QPR, Barry, that is getting all the goals, because Bournemouth have pulled one back just minutes into this second half. It's Marcus Tavernier that's got it. It's from a corner, which QPR, this is why you're struggling, because just can't afford to defend a set piece like this. Never really get it clear. Tavernier strikes it into the goal. Bournemouth half the deficit.
Well, we seem to have lost Matt there. He seems like he was crackling on the surface of the moon, and we'll be back. But anyway, we've heard what we need to hear there, and that is that Bournemouth are right back in that cup tie. Marcus Tavernier with the goal. Queen's Park Rangers 2, Bournemouth 1 now. And that's a goal for Bournemouth to make a real cup tie of the game at Loftus Road. Let's get around those grounds. Let's head to where there could be a big shock in the third round. Championship Watford losing at home to non-league Chesterfield at half-time. And it's a call to action, Mark Thomas, for Watford, who have just made some changes.
Absolutely, they've made a change. Kone has gone out. Ryan Andrews has come in to solidify that midfield, because Dobra was kind of running riot around there, Barry, to be honest with you. The energy and aggression that Chesterfield have showed in the first couple of minutes has been fantastic. They've gone close. Watford are coming back into it. We've just had a free kick, a foul on Healy outside the box, which resulted in a goalmouth scramble that just got cleared away. So close but no cigar, but it's shaping up to be a fast and very frantic second half. It is still Watford 0, Chesterfield 1.
Thank you very much for that, Mark. Let's head back to the 365. Ed Dowling has been watching Stoke City against Brighton and Hove Albion. Brighton were behind for a while. They're back level now. Who started the stronger in the second half, Ed?
By far, Barry, I think it's Stoke City, the hosts. They've started really well so far. They've dominated the ball. They've pushed up the field. And yeah, I have to say it would be them. 47 minutes gone, 1-1, but Stoke having the better of it so far.
Thank you very much for that, Ed Dowling. And let's go to Tom Cooney, who's watching the All-Championship game between Hull City and Birmingham City. Last time we were there, Birmingham were a goal to the good. Is that still the case, Tom?
It is still the case, Barry. No changes in the second half in terms of personnel, but the game's carried on as it did in the first half. Chances already at both ends. The first one went to Hull, and it was quite a comical moment. It was... I think it was Lokilo down the right-hand side again. He gets to the byline, just as he's about to whip the ball in. The fake turf that's off the pitch is coming right to the goal line, and he trips over it and loses the chance. He gets the ball in, and Birmingham clear. And then just up the other end, it was Lukas Djukovic again with an opportunity. The ball was whipped in from Gary Gardner, and Djukovic was at full stretch. He could only send it up in the air, and Hull were able to get hold of the ball and clear. So chances at both ends. The second half started well. 52 minutes gone. Hull 0, Birmingham City 1.
Non-league Maidstone through to the fourth round, have beaten Stevenage 1-0. Non-league Chesterfield could be through to the fourth round if they can hold on at Watford. They're leading by a goal to 0 in that game. 2 Hertfordshire scalps for non-leaguers in the FA Cup this afternoon. Eastleigh down to 10 men are 1-0 down away at Newport County at Rodney Parade, thanks to a goal from James Clark 11 minutes after half-time. Let's head back to Loftus Road now and to Matt Key. Let's see if our connection's a little bit better now. He was telling us about a goal back for Bournemouth. And Matt, that certainly makes it game on, doesn't it?
Yes, absolutely. Hopefully everything is clear now at Loftus Road. Don't know what happened there. Maybe it's the excitement of the Bournemouth fans. But yeah, it was a really poor goal to concede from a QPR point of view. Short corner, which QPR just weren't alert to, and Bournemouth were allowed to basically do what they want to it. Tavernier got the ball, was allowed all the time in the world to pick his spot and found the corner. Bournemouth fans right up for it. So was Iriola. He could tell he was fuming at the end of that first half. Whatever he said in the team talk has obviously worked. The comeback could be on here. It's still QPR 2, Bournemouth 1.
Thank you very much for that, Matt. We heard from Eddie Howe earlier on. Dan Burn, the Newcastle defender, also spoke to Football Live after that 3-0 victory for Newcastle away at Sunderland in the lunchtime kickoff.
Yeah, special. Obviously, I think there was a lot of build-up for the game, so to come through with sort of a win and a clean sheet. Yeah, very happy. I think sort of mentality. It has been a long time since we played this sort of game, so I think everyone was excited. I think if you asked the fans whether they would have went through the Champions League or beat Sunderland, I'm pretty sure they would have said beat Sunderland. So yeah, happy to get through. They're a good team, Sunderland. I thought it was a great day. The crowd really made it. But yeah, really happy with one.
So that was Dan Burn. Good win that for Newcastle United, who haven't had the best of runs of late in the MPFL today. A couple of games. Doma United were 1 point off top spot, leapfrogging Lobi Stars and Remo Stars to the top with a win after losing 2 of the last 3 games. It's finished Doma United 2. Mid-table Katsina United 0 at the Pantami Township Stadium in Gumbe. It's 3rd against 11th there, and they've done their business early on. Owuku and Enifiok with goals inside the opening 8 minutes for the home side. So it's Doma United that go top of the table. Bendel Insurance 1, Enuga 0. That's early in the second half. Asege with the early goal there for Bendel Insurance, who are unbeaten in 22 home matches, unbeaten in 2023 on home soil. Enuga have not won an away match since March 22, 27 matches away from home. So that one can only really go one way. Let me tell you about a goal in the game between Stoke and Brighton.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
And they've turned it around, Brighton. They were trailing at the Championship side Stoke City, but they're now leading by 2 goals to 1. Stephen Schumacher is currently unbeaten as the Stoke City manager. He's got work to do to keep that record going. Let's catch up with Ed Dowling at the 365, who can tell us all about that second Brighton and Hove Albion goal.
Yeah, 2-1 to Brighton. It all felt very routine, to be honest. It was a ball over the top initially. Was really poorly dealt with by the Stoke City defender. They went out for a corner, pretty short corner, played it onto the byline, ball deep over to the back post, and Lewis Dunk just heads into the net. Seemed pretty routine from Brighton's point of view. Well worked from them, but I think Schumacher will be quite disappointed with that. 2-1 to the away side, and it could be a goal fest here. They've looked dangerous in the second half, Brighton, and that goal has really paid off for them. But 2-1 here at the 365 Stadium.
Excellent. 2 goals in 3 minutes from Liam Sercombe, the former Exeter man, has given Cheltenham a surprise 2-1 lead in League One against the league leaders Portsmouth. And that's 2-1 in that game. And Lille have gone and got a 12th goal. It's now Lille 12, the Golden Lion, and 0 in that particular match in the French Cup this afternoon. Last we heard, Atletico Madrid were being held away at Lugo 1-1. I believe that's still the score. Let's head around the grounds in our 4 featured matches in the FA Cup. We've had plenty of goals. I can tell you Southampton have just gone 2-0 up against Walsall in another match that's taking place this afternoon. Southampton in exhilarating form. They're closing in on the top 2, and it looks like they could well make a concerted push towards an immediate return to the Premier League next season. And it looks as if they're going to be in the 4th round draw, which will take place on Monday evening for the FA Cup. Southampton 2, Walsall 0. Sekou Mara with the 2nd goal in that game. Let's get around those grounds and hear all the latest. We will start with Watford against Chesterfield, where there could be a shock on the cards. Championship against National League, and it's not going to the form book so far. Mark Thomas.
No, not at all. It's Chesterfield weathered the storm that Watford put on for about 5 or 6 minutes, but they've come back into the game. We just had a chance for Watford. After weathering the storm, Healy went through and he put the ball across to Martins, but he blasted it over from about 10 yards out. That's the biggest chance so far of the second half. It's a very competitive game. It could go either way. It's a wonderful FA Cup tie. The fans are loving it. It's Watford 0, Chesterfield 1.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
2-0 down at half-time. Bournemouth are back to 2-2 in the game between QPR and Bournemouth. To tell us all about that equalising goal for the Premier League side is Matthew Key.
Yes, it's a shocker for QPR. This is why they're struggling at the wrong end of the Championship, because having played so well in the first half, they've thrown it all away inside 15 minutes here. Because it's all level once again, and it's Kiefer Moore that has got the goal in for the informed Dominic Solanke today, and he has got an important goal for him and his side, because it's typical Kiefer Moore. Cross comes in, it's from a corner once again, glancing header past Begovic in the Bournemouth goal. And Bournemouth fans really happy now, because you'd expect them to go on and win this cup tie from here, because it's gone from 2-0 to QPR 2, Bournemouth 2.
Thank you very much for that, Matt Key. So that's where we're at in the FA Cup at this stage. Let's carry on around the ground, shall we? Let's go to Stoke City against Brighton at the 365. Ed Dowling. It's going the way of Brighton and Hove Albion at the moment, isn't it?
All Brighton at the moment. I think they're really pushing for that 3rd goal. Just seen a shot from Estepinian on his right foot, which is really well saved actually by the Stoke City goalkeeper. I think they're just running out of steam here, Stoke, already. In terms of actual attacking chances for the home side, they haven't really produced anything. I mean, the first goal was an own goal, entirely of their own, of Brighton's own creation, to be honest. So they're going to have to sort something out here for the second half. They've looked miles off it since the second half's kicked off. I think Brighton are going to win this pretty convincingly. But 55 minutes gone, it's Stoke 1, Brighton 2.
Thank you very much for that, Ed. Let's continue our journey around the grounds, shall we? Let's go to Hull City against Birmingham City, an all-championship affair. Birmingham were on top last time we heard. Tom Cooney is at the MKM Stadium.
Yeah, Barry, well, it's Hull doing all the pushing in this second half, and Birmingham have just gone into the book for the 3rd time. Dembele getting a yellow card for a cynical foul, stopping a counter-attack. And we've just had a flurry of changes. Gary Gardner has gone off for Birmingham, and Jordan Jones has come on. And Hull have made 3 changes as they look to turn the tide in this game. Ozan Tufan is on, as is Billy Sharp, back from his American adventure. We've seen him score goals at this level so many times in the past. And he find one today to keep Hull in the FA Cup as they chase an equaliser. We are 63 minutes gone in this game. It's Hull City 0, Birmingham City 1.
Thank you very much for that update. Let's carry on around those grounds, shall we? We've heard from all of our games in the recent past. Let's head back, shall we, to, let's go to QPR against Bournemouth. And Matthew Key. And Matthew, I think it's fair to say that this game has well and truly turned itself on its head. And from looking like a Premier League side is on its way out of the Cup, it's very much like they could well be going straight through. If not a replay, then a straight victory today.
Yeah, it's been really good from Bournemouth in this second half. It could have easily dropped because of those 2 late first half goals, but Iraola, whatever he said at half time, has clearly worked. They're playing with such confidence now, like the team we've seen in the past few weeks in the Premier League. You've got to remember, I mean, QPR, though, it was always going to be hard for them this game. Bournemouth are second over the last 10 games in the Premier League in terms of the form guide, so they're such a good team to watch. They've knocked the ball around so confidently this second half, and they've got the 2 goals to get all level. They've dropped off slightly less intensity since getting that equaliser, but they'll certainly be looking to put this game to bed, complete the comeback and avoid a replay at the Vitality Stadium. QPR looking tired now. 62 gone and it's still QPR 2, Bournemouth 2.
Excellent, and a chance for Brighton to put the game to bed at the 365. Ed Dowling.
Sounds like a similar situation to the QPR Bournemouth game. I think Brighton are really just showing their quality now. I just saw Danny Welbeck's come on, and he did a lovely little triangle in the Stoke City box between him and Pascal Gross, forcing a corner for the away side. I think they're going to have way too much for Stoke City, Brighton and Hove Albion. They're going to have to make some changes or do something differently because this is not working. Pascal Gross absolutely running the game from midfield, and I think it's a matter of time before we get a third Brighton goal here, Barry, but I could be proven wrong. But 60 minutes on the clock, it's 2-1 to the away side at the 365.
Thank you, Ed. And a chance for Hull City to equalise, Tom Cooney.
Yeah, Barry, I mentioned this fake turf before. It's causing all sorts of problems. It was Kevin Long who won the ball back for Birmingham, and he's going towards the goal line, collecting the ball. He puts his foot, even though the ball's in play, he puts his foot out of play, trips over the turf. He puts his hands in the air. I don't know who can do anything. And Aaron Connolly picks the ball up and crosses it into the far post, and Syed Manesh gets a glancing header on it anymore, and it's a certain goal. It would have been, as I say, nothing anyone could have done about it, but it would have been a very strange one. This fake turf has been involved twice now. Let's hope it doesn't have a deciding impact. We are 64 minutes gone. Hull 0, Birmingham 1.
Thank you very much for that, Tom. Let's head back to Vicarage Road. The shock of the round is still on, and Mark Thomas, a substitution being made by the non-leaguers.
Yes, they've taken Ollie Banks off, Barry, as a precaution. He was on a yellow card and obviously one foul away from going down to 10 men. They didn't want that to happen. So they brought on Michael Jacobs, a very seasoned veteran, over 500 games for Chesterfield. So he'll give them that extra bit of experience as they try to see out the last 25 minutes of this game. To be honest, they've been coping very well defensively. Watford are having difficulty getting through. Chesterfield very, very stubborn, but they're coping with everything Watford are throwing at them. But we're going to have one heck of a 25 minutes here. You sense that there's another goal in the offing. After 65 minutes, it is Watford 0, Chesterfield 1.
Thank you very much for that update from Vicarage Road. Until it's finished at Lille 12, the Golden Lion 0. They've been put out of their misery, have the Golden Lion, and Cardiff Metropolitan University's afternoon hasn't been much better. It's now the New Saints 8, 10-man. Cardiff Metropolitan University 0 in that game. There is a penalty to Stoke City. We'll hear about that off the back of this latest break. You are listening to Football Live.
Football Live. Football's never sounded so good. On Brilla FM every Saturday and Sunday.
Football Live continues its FA Cup adventure tomorrow afternoon. Join John Kane on the road to Wembley with all eyes on the tie of the round as Arsenal take on Liverpool at the Emirates. Holders Manchester City begin their defence of the trophy at home to Huddersfield Town. And Napoli look to pick up points on the road without Victor Osimhen. They go to Torino in our featured match in Italy in Serie A. Join us tomorrow afternoon on Football Live right here on Briller FM from 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Football Live exclusively covering the FA Cup, the greatest cup competition on the planet.
From the beginning.
Hit it, boys. You are listening to Football Live. Live and exclusive on Briller FM. Join corner where the big boys play.
And here it begins.
Football Live. Our proof that Sports Radio 88.9 Briller FM has gone beyond one league. Football Live. It takes you from country to country, venue to venue. Football Live. It's about eyewitness reports at match venues exclusively for Sports Radio 88.9 Briller FM.
I can tell you, no, I can't tell you anything.
Pity those poor North London supporters. Absolute chaos at the Etihad.
Yes, the goal has finally come.
Attack.
We've heard about the goat in the crowd. Is there a goal on the pitch?
It's Victor Osimhen with the goal.
And I'm sure most Chelsea fans out there listening will agree that that simply is not good enough.
We're zigzagging all over the United Kingdom.
And they've got to play 3-4-2. No, 3-4-3 looks like.
Get involved in NairaBet Sunday Special and net yourself a free bet. Arsenal take on Liverpool at the Emirates and we are giving away a 100% matched free bet up to 1,000 Naira. Whether you back the Gunners or the Reds, even if your bet does not win, you will still be eligible for the free bet. All you need to do is log in to www.nairabet.com. Bet on Liverpool versus Arsenal. Receive your free bet to use on any sports or virtuals. To qualify, just place a bet on either the pre-match markets or in play. Full details can be found on our promotions page. Must be over 18, minimum odds of 1.5. Must be a real money bet. Cashed out bets do not qualify. General and free bet terms and conditions apply. Please gamble responsibly. Let's get back to the action on Football Live.
Hit it, boys.
Powered by NairaBet. This is Football Live with Barry Swain. The goals, powered by NairaBet.
Yes, literally seconds after we went to the commercial break, Stoke City scored from the penalty spot to make it Stoke City 2, Brighton and Hove Albion 2, and...
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
It's now Queen's Park Rangers 2, Bournemouth 3. The turnaround is complete. Let's go to Matthew Key and hear all about that third goal for Bournemouth at Loftus Road.
Yes, comeback complete. What a joy this has been to watch from a Bournemouth point of view. Absolutely fantastic in this second half, and they've got their third goal, and it's Justin Kluivert that has got it. Obviously got his first Premier League goal not too long ago. He got his first taste of FA Cup action, having literally just come off the bench, and he has got what could be the winning goal. It's really nice play from Bournemouth once again. Sinisterra at the heart of it, and Kluivert was there. Right place, right time, finishing past Begovic, and that could very much be it now. Bournemouth could be in the hat for the fourth round. What a second half performance this has been. They've come from 2-0 down and they now lead. It's QPR 2, Bournemouth 3.
Thank you very much for that, Matt. So it looks like Bournemouth have made the comeback complete there, 3-2 up at Queen's Park Rangers. Southampton 3, Walsall 0. Ryan Fraser's second goal of the game. Blackburn 4, Cambridge United 2. Arne Sigurdsson scoring for Rovers, who are not in great form at the moment. And Memphis Depay has just scored a second for Atletico Madrid in the Copa del Rey. They're now leading second tier Lugo away by 2-1 in what looks like a very tricky cup tie for them this afternoon in Spain. 2-1 they lead now. Right, let's move around the grounds and let's hear about that penalty for Stoke City that's made it 2-2 at the 365. Let's join up at the game with Ed Dowling.
I suspect that Roberto De Zerbi will not be very happy with this one at all. Obviously, no VAR at the game today, and you suspect that had it been there, it would have intervened. It's a classic case of the ball going into the box, Stoke City forward heads it onto the arm of Lewis Dunk. There's not really anything he can possibly do about that. All this talk about natural arm positions and whatever, but the referee, Paul Tierney, he gives the penalty. Lewis Baker dispatches it into the bottom left corner. Brighton, rightly so, are furious with the decision, but it doesn't matter. Stoke have found a way back into the game. It's 2-2 here, and it's game on.
Yes, game on in that game. Could well be going to a replay, that one, Stoke against Brighton. They don't really want too many more games, Brighton, what with their European commitments. And, well, Stoke having to play 46 league games in the season in the Championship don't really want a cup replay either. So I wonder if they're going to try and both get that one over the line this afternoon. Let's head back to Watford. Still Watford 0, Chesterfield 1. And Watford have rung the changes. Another throw of the dice. It might be their last throw of the dice. The clock is starting to run out for the Hornets, isn't it, Mark Thomas?
Yes, it is indeed. They've gone with that big triple change. Hurtado is making his debut. They've just got him from New York Red Bulls. He's come on for Martins. Luza is on for Chadvigatse, and Rajkovic is on for Healy. They've just flashed for inspiration a picture of former manager Graham Taylor. Watford fans could dearly use his inspiration and help. They're struggling. It's still Watford 0, Chesterfield 1 after 73 minutes.
Yes, it is Graham Taylor Day down at Vicarage Road today. The former Watford manager who took them from the fourth division, all the way up to the first division as it was then, which is of course now the Premier League, in pretty much successive 3 back-to-back promotions. Took them up in the early 80s. They finished second in the top flight in their first season behind Liverpool. He later managed Aston Villa, successful there as well. And then England for a while as manager. The great late Graham Taylor is still well revered down at Vicarage Road at Watford, where he made a name for himself. Memphis Depay has scored another goal, 2 in quick succession. It's now Lugo 1, Atletico Madrid 3. And let's get round those grounds, shall we? And let's see what's going on in the game between... I'll tell you what we're going to do. Before we go anywhere, I need to tell you about another big goal in one of our 4 featured matches.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
And it's gone to Brighton. It's Stoke 2, Brighton 3. I just said there could be a replay on the cards. And Brighton have gone and got a 3rd goal in that game. We'll be across to Ed Dowling to hear about it in just a few moments. Let's go to Tom Cooney, who is watching Hull against Birmingham City. Any chance of a Hull equaliser, Tom?
Barry, I really don't know how Hull is still behind in this game. They've had two chances since we last spoke, 2 massive chances, and both fell to Aaron Connolly. The first one was route one. Ryan Allsop's goal kick was sent long, and Neil Etheridge, the opposite goalkeeper, he gets it all wrong. He starts to come, then realises he's not going to get to it. He's backpedaling, he's leaving an empty goal. Aaron Connolly tries to side foot it over into the net, and he gets it all wrong. We might not have found that an easy chance, but the look on his face tells him he should have done a lot better. And a couple of minutes later, I think he was still thinking about it when a ball was laid off to him around the penalty spot, and he had a great chance to side foot one into the bottom corner, and he hit it straight at the keeper. It's not been a good few minutes for him. We've got 15 minutes to go. Hull still chasing that equaliser. Hull City 0, Birmingham 1.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
And it's an equaliser for Watford. Mileta Rajovic with the goal. Watford 1, non-league Chesterfield 1. We'll be across to Mark Thomas to hear all about that in a second. Let's go to the 365. Ed Dowling can tell us about that 3rd goal for Brighton and Hove Albion.
Yeah, it's a really quality goal, to be honest, and it's Brighton playing down that right side once again. It's one of the fullbacks. He thinks a lovely ball to the back post. It's a really high line from Stoke City, and João Pedro gets a lot of force in his header to power it past Alderson. To be honest, it's what Brighton do deserve. We always want an FA Cup upset, but Stoke really haven't deserved anything from this game. 3-2 here. Let's see if it stays like this, because you never know what will happen with this competition.
An 8th goal this season for João Pedro. And, well, that's a big goal for Brighton. They now lead 3-2 and they'll want to avoid a replay. Looks like they're going to take the place in the fourth round at the expense of Stoke City. Still 20 minutes or so to go in that game. Still enough time for them to hold on or indeed to throw it away. And for Watford, they're back level. Mark Thomas can tell us all about an equalising goal for the team for the Championship.
Well, the inspiration came from Graham Taylor. Rekovic is the goal scorer, a header from the near post, just down underneath the stretch of boot in goal there. Wonderful cross from Asprilla. Boy, did they need that. 1-1 here right now, and less than 20 minutes to go. Game on. Watford, Chesterfield, a real cup tie, if ever there was one. 76 minutes gone. Watford 1, Chesterfield 1.
All level in that game then at Vicarage Road. Watford finalists in 84 and 2018. Twice they lost in the final. But I can tell you there's some good news for a non-league club, because despite being down to 10 men, Eastleigh are playing away to Newport today in the third round. And Chris Maguire, with 8 minutes to go from the penalty spot, has made it Newport County 1, Eastleigh 1. And Che Adams has just scored a fourth for Southampton. It's now Southampton 4, Walsall 0. So that's where we're at in those games in the FA Cup this afternoon. All going on. It's still QPR 2, Bournemouth 3, Hull City 0, Birmingham City 1, Stoke 2, Brighton 3. It was 4 away wins in our 4 featured games in the FA Cup, but Watford have just equalised, so it's now Watford 1, Chesterfield 1. Let's go back to Queen's Park Rangers against Bournemouth and catch up with Matthew Key, who's brought us 5 goals so far. Is there any end to the action in sight? Are we expecting more goals here, Matt?
Yeah, well, it was none for half an hour and then 5 now, but to be honest, Barry, I think we're about as far away from a goal as we have been the whole game. QPR, you tell the confidence has been knocked from this Bournemouth performance, which has just been on a different level, to be honest. You can tell there's first half, you couldn't tell which one was the Premier League side. You certainly can in this half. And as for Bournemouth, they're looking for that 4th goal, but they're quite happy just knocking it round at the moment. Really good performance this has been from Iriota and his side, and they're just looking to bring on some fresh legs now, as Philip Billing, the latest to go close and get that 4th, and probably clinching goal for Bournemouth. There's 10 minutes. Can QPR find one final push and maybe force a replay? It's QPR 2, Bournemouth 3.
Thank you very much, Matt. So, yeah, Bournemouth coming from behind to lead. Brighton coming from behind to lead. Look like we might well be losing 2 teams from the Premier League in the FA Cup third round this afternoon. But the quality has shone through in the end. And it's a good comeback for both Brighton and Bournemouth. And it looks like they're both going to return to the South Coast with their FA Cup dignity still intact. Wimbledon 1, Ipswich 3, Coventry 6, Oxford 2, Maidstone, non-league Maidstone 1, Stevenage 0, Millwall 2, Leicester 3, and Newcastle winning 3-0 at Sunderland. They are the late kick-offs. I can tell you Blackburn have just gone and got a 5th goal against Cambridge United. Blackburn 5, Cambridge United 2 at Ewood Park, and it looks like the out-of-form Championship side are going to beat Neil Harris's Cambridge United this afternoon with some to spare. They were behind twice in the first half, but they're kicking on now. Harry Leonard with the 5th goal in that game with less than 10 minutes to go, and they're on their way into the hat for the 4th round draw of the FA Cup, which is, of course, coming up this Monday, which is when Wigan Athletic will be playing Manchester United in the final of the third round fixtures. Last night, Tottenham Hotspur made it through with a 1-0 victory against Burnley, an all-Premier League encounter, thanks to a brilliant goal from Pedro Porro in the second half. Also in London, Fulham 1-0 winners over Championship strugglers Rotherham United at Craven Cottage. Bobby Decordova-Reid, Fulham the first team through to the fourth round. Also last night, also in London, a 1-1 draw between Brentford and Wolves, so that all Premier League tie will go to a replay at Molineux in a couple of weeks. On Thursday, Crystal Palace and Everton, two Premier League sides meeting in London, and that one was drawn 0-0. Dominic Calvert-Lewin sent off harshly in that game, and despite being down to 10 men, Everton hold on and they will replay at Goodison Park. Also last night in Serie A, at the Lorenzo Di Silvestri scored an equaliser in the 5th minute of second half stoppage time to bring Bologna a point from their game against Genoa. Bologna stay 5th, Genoa stay 12th in the table. The final whistles are looming fast in our first round of fixtures, but before we go around the ground, just a quick reminder: Chelsea against Preston North End, Middlesbrough against Aston Villa, Sheffield Wednesday against Cardiff City. 3 great cup ties coming up very soon, and we hope to get some team news from, in fact, I think we're going to get some team news right now from the game at Stamford Bridge. It's Chelsea against Preston North End. Joining us from Stamford Bridge is Jack Hesson. Good afternoon to you, Jack, and I'm sure you can bring us some much anticipated Chelsea team news.
Yeah, good afternoon to you, Barry. We're set for a good one this evening in the Cup as Championship side Preston travel to Stamford Bridge hoping to pull off a massive scalp. Meanwhile, Chelsea trying to win their first FA Cup since 2018. They haven't lost in the FA Cup third round since 1998, so they will certainly be confident. The full lineup for Chelsea then: Petrovic starts in goals, a back line of Gusto, Levi Colwill, who's the captain for the evening, Disasi playing alongside him, and it's a first official start for 20-year-old Alfie Gilchrist at right back. The midfield two: Enzo Fernandez and Moses Caicedo. An attacking midfield three of Mudryk, Palmer and Sterling, and Armando Broja leads the line. As for Preston, there's some familiar faces in there. They sit 14th for the Championship at the moment, but Freddie Woodburn starts in goals, and former Everton man Will Keane is also at centre half. Their striker leading the line for them is Mulatan Uzmajic, so it should be a good one this evening. Preston haven't beaten Chelsea since 1981, and it would be a massive scalp for them to do so this evening, but the magic of the FA Cup, anything can happen.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
And it looks like Brighton and Hove Albion have cemented their place in the fourth round of the FA Cup. They've gone 4-2 up. Another goal for João Pedro, and we'll be across to hear all about that goal in just a couple of minutes' time with Ed Dowling. Going back to, we just had the Chelsea team news there from Jack Hesson. Let's hear now from the Chelsea manager, Mauricio Pochettino, on the importance of the two cup competitions, given that Chelsea are not playing in Europe this season.
Of course. I think the Carabao Cup and the FA Cup is two competitions that we need to try to go further and to try to arrive to the, but before, we need to go to build our run step by step. I think the first step is tomorrow, and of course it's really important competition for us because we are not involved in the European competition, and of course in the Premier League we are in a position that we need to grow and to improve a lot if we want to play in the competition next season. But if through the FA Cup or through the Carabao Cup we can achieve, to play next season in Europe.
So that was Mauricio Pochettino. Let's go to Ed Dowling and tell us, Ed, all about another goal for João Pedro and another goal for Brighton and Hove Albion.
That's right, pure quality from Brighton. That really is game, set and match now, you like to think. Again, those lovely triangles that they've been playing. João Pedro, he does a nice little 1-2 with Paul Van Hecker, who is making up for his disastrous own goal in the first half. He runs down the line, lovely ball across the face of goal for João Pedro, just to nip past the goalkeeper to make it 4-2. A goal of really, really high quality, and to be honest, it looks like the better team are winning today. It's currently Stoke 2, Brighton 4. There could be more goals in it, but I suspect it will be for the away side.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
And I can tell you the Hull City have finally got themselves back level against Birmingham City. It's Hull City 1, Birmingham City 1, an equaliser, and that game does now look as if it is going to go to a replay in a couple of weeks' time at St Andrews. Let's get across to Billy Andrews, and he is going to be watching what should be a cracking game this afternoon, a late kick-off, which we will be covering right here on Football Live. Middlesbrough, who are in the Championship and also in the semi-final of the Carabao Cup, first leg against Chelsea in the semi-finals coming up on Wednesday this week. And today they're taking on Aston Villa, flying high in the Premier League, who, despite their European ambitions, will also, I'm sure, have ambitions in the FA Cup. Let's catch up with Billy, who can give us today's exclusive team news from the Riverside.
Yeah, welcome to the Riverside. And Michael Carrick makes 2 changes from the 3-1 defeat to Coventry last weekend, as Bangura and Hackney come in for Fry and Howson. Fry and Howson both on the bench, presumably rested for that League Cup semi-final first leg against Chelsea midweek. As for Unai Emery and Aston Villa, it's 3 changes for Aston Villa from the 3-2 win against Burnley at the weekend. It's the 3 goal scorers that come out. It's Ollie Watkins, Douglas Luiz and Moussa Diaby, to be replaced by Jacob Ramsey, Leander Dendoncker and Jon Duran. So an interesting one. Villa flying high in the Premier League. Borough stuttering a little bit under Michael Carrick recently, but should be a cracker. Kick-off just under 45 minutes away.
Thank you very much for that, Billy. Billy Andrews will be back with updates throughout the second half of the show. It's going to be Middlesbrough against Aston Villa. It's going to be Chelsea against Preston North End. We've also got Sheffield Wednesday against Cardiff City in our 3 later games this evening, early evening games in the FA Cup third round. Morgan Whittaker is a name on everybody's lips in the Championship in England at the moment because he is scoring goals for fun. He's just made it Plymouth Argyle 3, Sutton United 1. Morgan Whittaker is being linked to a move to the Premier League either this January or in the summer. He is a real talent. I've watched him a couple of times recently. He is one to watch in the future. Morgan Whittaker, a goal this afternoon again, and it's Plymouth 3, Sutton United 1. Let's head to Tom Cooney, who is at Hull City against Birmingham City, and an equaliser finally from Matty Jacob to bring this game level with just 3 minutes to go. Tom.
Yeah, Barry, Hull finally getting that equaliser that they have deserved in this second half, and it was Matty Jacob on his first ever senior appearance for his boyhood club who got the goal. It was a fantastic move, one of those where you were counting the passes. They must have put about 25 passes together, Hull, and the ball eventually is sprayed out wide. After such a good move, though, the goal itself wasn't that pretty. The ball was fizzed across, and Etheridge makes a real mess of it. He spills the ball, and Matty Jacob doesn't give him a second to collect it. Right in there, gets a touch, in off the underside of the bar, but he won't care. His first ever goal on his first ever senior appearance to bring Hull level in this tie. We've got 1 minute of the 90 to go. It's Hull 1, Birmingham City 1.
Stick with us, we've got 4 dramatic games in the FA Cup. Sheffield United are going to be in the 4th round because they've scored 4 goals without reply this afternoon. James McAtee has scored 2. On loan for Manchester City, McAtee, 2 goals in very quick succession. It's Gillingham 0, Sheffield United 4 at the Priest Field. It looks like Chesterfield are going to take Watford of the Championship to replay, possibly. I think we now know how much injury time is going to be played in this, 6 minutes. Let's go across to Mark Thomas, who can bring us bang up to date with what could have been a shock, and even at a draw, it's something of a shock, isn't it, Mark?
Well, yes, it is. It's been end-to-end stuff here, Barry. Could have gone either way. Both teams have had some great chances. Asprilla has continued to be very tricky, trying to open the door with a winner for Watford. Jacobs has had a chance on the other side. Oldacker had a shot deflected away for a corner. Colcliffe put the ball over for Chesterfield from only about 3 yards out. He missed the goal completely. He should at least have got it on target. We've had a couple more subs, and just a couple of seconds ago, the Nigerian Bashiro had a hot shot save palmed out by the goalkeeper boot. After 90 minutes, 6 minutes plus, it's Watford 1, Chesterfield 1.
Yeah, 7 minutes injury time at Loftus Road, 5 minutes injury time in the game at Hull, 6 minutes injury time as we've just heard from the game at Vicarage Road, Watford, where it's Watford 1, Chesterfield 1. We'll be going back to Briller FM very soon, and we'll hear those full-time reports from those earlier kickoffs that are just coming to an end in the FA Cup third round. It's been a pulsating afternoon of action in the FA Cup third round so far. Let's hear from Michael Carrick, shall we? He's the Middlesbrough manager. You might have heard of him before. Used to be the Manchester United midfielder, of course. Michael Carrick. He's now the manager of Middlesbrough, and his side are focusing on 2 big cup games in the coming days.
Yeah, big challenge for us. I think it's great though. You know, it's fantastic. We got to enjoy the challenge. For me, you want to play against the best teams and best players individually and as a group. And listen, Aston Villa having an unbelievable season so far and got some really good players and obviously well coached. So it's a big challenge, but it's great. You know, it's a one-off game for us. This one, and we can give it our best. See what it takes us. Football's funny at times. It throws up results that maybe shouldn't happen. You know, we know that this is one that probably shouldn't go our way on paper, but we'll do our best to try and flip that.
That was Michael Carrick. Can they cause an upset this afternoon? We'll wait and see. Let's quickly go to Tom Cooney, who's watching the game between Hull and Birmingham. Birmingham have been under the cosh. Hull finally getting an equaliser 3 minutes from time. And then, Tom, Birmingham nearly got and won it.
Yeah, I don't think either side wants a replay, Barry. Birmingham, after that equaliser, they've gone chasing the winner. And it was Stansfield on the left-hand side. He cuts in and strikes it. I couldn't quite tell where he struck it because it deflects straight away. The keeper had already sold himself, and somehow the keeper wasn't looking, and it manages to get trapped underneath his body and stay out of the net because he had no idea where it was. We've got 2 minutes to go. Both sides are chasing a winner. It remains Hull 1, Birmingham City 1.
Thank you very much, Tom. Final whistle was blown at Ewood Park. Blackburn Rovers through 5-2 against Cambridge United. Plymouth Argyle through against Sutton United 3-1. No shocks in those 2 games. Let's quickly go to the game being played at Vicarage Road. It's Watford 1, it's Chesterfield 1, deep into stoppage time. Mark Thomas.
3 minutes of stoppage time gone, and it's end-to-end stuff. It could go either way. Both teams are really giving it their all. Neither teams want a replay. You get the sense of that. Colclough has been the most dangerous player for Chesterfield in the last 5 to 10 minutes. He just went through a little run. Goalkeeper came out. Colclough should have hit the target. The goalkeeper just stuck his leg out and made a tremendous save. Watford are still pushing for that goal. The home fans are cheering them on. But after 93 minutes, 2 minutes left, it's still 1-1.
Well, that game is going right the way to the end. Watford 1, Chesterfield 1 in stoppage time.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
And I can tell you, it's now Watford 2, Chesterfield 1. And just when Chesterfield were beginning to make plans for a replay, Watford have come up with what surely will be a winning goal. And it's been scored by the Nigerian Ayo Dela Bashiru, scorer of the winning goal for Watford. Let's head to Vicarage Road. Mark Thomas can tell us all about that goal from the Nigerian.
Oh my goodness, chaos and pandemonium, Barry, here at Vicarage Road. And as you mentioned, it is the Nigerian who scored what looks like the winning goal. He got into the box, beat a couple of players and put kind of a soft spot underneath the goalkeeper. They won't care how it goes in as long as it does. There's about a minute left in this game. It is now Watford 2, Chesterfield 1.
Wow, that's what the FA Cup does to you. Shocks, but there's heartache as well in there amongst it all. And an equaliser for Watford just when you were beginning to think this was Chesterfield's day, and then Watford go and score again in stoppage time. Watford leading in that one by a goal, by a single goal. It's now Watford 2, Chesterfield 1. Let's hand back to FJ and the team in Brilla FM studios, who can bring you bang up to date with all the social media. It's your chance to call in and have your interaction. We'll be back on Football Live in a short while when Chelsea take on Preston North End. Over to you, FJ.
Get it, boys.
Powered by NairaBet. This is Football Live with Barry Swain.
Welcome back to Football Live. We'll be moving on to our second half of the show very, very shortly. Preston North End are the visitors to Stamford Bridge to take on Chelsea. We'll also be across Middlesbrough against Aston Villa and one of the ties of the round, and Sheffield United against Cardiff City. Ivory Coast have just taken a lead. Ousmane Diomande with an early goal in their friendly against Sierra Leone in the build-up to AFCON. That's a goal coming in a friendly being played this evening in the San Pedro. Let's quickly go around the grounds from our 4 o'clock West Africa time kickoffs in the FA Cup. Plenty of shocks, plenty of drama, plenty of goals. Let's start at Vicarage Road. Mark Thomas watched as Watford came from behind against non-league Chesterfield to win last gasp.
Yes, it was a story of what might have been for Chesterfield. They started great. They had the first goal ahead after 28 minutes from Quigley, completely unmarked. Second half, Barry, fast and furious. Both teams committed to getting a result. Chances both ends. Both goalkeepers made some vital saves. After 2 minutes of coming on, though, it was Reykjavik who levelled with a near-post header. And then the star of the day, the hero, Tom Deli Bashiro, the Nigerian, ghosted into the box after 5 minutes of extra time and put the ball into the net. This game had everything. Truly a great display of the FA Cup at its best. Final score, Watford 2, Chesterfield 1.
Thank you very much for that, Mark. Let's head around those other 3 games that took place this afternoon. Hull City came back to equalise late on against Birmingham, who nearly snatched it in injury time, Tom Cooney.
Yeah, Barry, really entertaining game here in the FA Cup third round. It's finished Hull 1, Birmingham City 1. We'll need a replay to settle this. Draw, probably a fair result in the end. Birmingham took the lead in the first half. Lukas Djukovic's superb glancing header just minutes after he dragged a sitter wide. And Hull came out fired up in the second half, and they took the game to Birmingham. So many chances, and just as it looked like the goal might not come, Matty Jacobs, the defender, the academy graduate, popped up to score in his first ever senior appearance to level the tie and earn his side a replay. A moment he'll never forget, and a fairy tale goal befitting of this great competition. These sides will meet at St Andrews to do it all again in a couple of weeks. But tonight it's finished full time at the MKM Stadium. Hull City 1, Birmingham City 1.
Thank you very much for that, Tom. Thank you very much for your updates this afternoon. That has been much appreciated. That one will go to a replay in a couple of weeks' time at St Andrews. Let's catch up with the game between Queen's Park Rangers and Bournemouth. Bournemouth of the Premier League were 2-0 down at half-time, but they still managed to make it through to round 4. Matthew Key.
Yeah, brilliant second half performance from the Cherries has seen them through the 4th round, and after surprisingly going 2-0 down with 2 goals in 2 minutes from Queen's Park Rangers, Armstrong and Dyke sending the R's in 2-0 at half-time. It was an Iriola team talk that has done the business for Bournemouth, whose 3 goals in a 20-minute spell from Marcus Tavernier, Kiefer Moore and Justin Kluivert completed the comeback from the Bournemouth, and for Bournemouth an excellent second half performance for the Cherries, and they are eventually safely through into the 4th round tie draw. It has finished here at Loftus Road. Queen's Park Rangers 2, Bournemouth 3.
Thank you very much for that, Tom. And our final game was at the 365. Ed Dowling, watch this one. Plenty of goals, but no shock in the end. Stoke City against Brighton.
No quality told, Barry, in this 6-goal thriller at the 365 Stadium. João Pedro bagging a brace, and a really impressive day for him as well. Pascal Gross picking up a few assists too. It all started with a unfortunate Van Hecke own goal before Hermes Estepinian scored an absolute worldie to level things up. There's a bit of controversy when Lewis Dunk, who just scored, gave away a pretty controversial penalty to give Stoke their equaliser, but then João Pedro popped up with a couple of goals to make sure the Premier League side was in the hat for the 4th round. It finished here at 365, 2 to Brighton and Hove Albion.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Ed. Thank you to our 4 reporters from this afternoon's games, Matthew Key, Tom Cooney, Ed Dowling and Mark Thomas. Let's get to Italy, shall we, at the Stadio Ettore Gardenero in Valdemare, where Lecce are taking on Cagliari this afternoon. Jackson Cole is watching this one for us. We're nearly half an hour in, no goals, but a few talking points, I think it's fair to say.
Yes, certainly, Barry. Yeah, Lecce 0, Cagliari 0. The best chance of the game falling to the home side on 16 minutes. The Frenchman, Remy Oudin, his shot from long range, a real pot shot, but it ended up striking the post. And The goalkeeper for Cagliari, Simone Scuffe, was scrambling over to his left a bit earlier in the game. Alberto De Sena, the Cagliari defender, he headed the ball just wide, and there was a brief penalty shout for the home side. Gabriel Strafeza went down following a challenge by De Sena, but if that was given, it would have been far too soft. So, yeah, as you say, still goalless at what is a pouring down with rain Stadio Via del Mare. It's Lecce 0, Cagliari 0.
Oh, glad that Italy have got the weather that has been swamping the United Kingdom for the last 2 weeks, flooding here, and now a taste of the wet weather for the Italians, it seems, this evening. Still 0-0 in that game. Let's catch up with John Kane now, shall we? And let's get some of the latest odds with NairaBet.
Here's John Kane with all the very latest odds from NairaBet.
Yes, good afternoon again. All the latest odds from Naira. Of course, all these prices are subject to change. The Chelsea game, well, Chelsea, as expected, the favourites, they are 1.18 to win. The draw is 7.50, and Preston North End are 13.0. Middlesbrough, they're at home to Villa. Middlesbrough are 4.33 for the win. The draw is 4.20, and Villa slightly favourite at 1.73. Now, if you think both teams to score, which is something very popular with so many punters, the Chelsea game, if you think both teams to score, is 2.15, and if you both teams to score for the Middlesbrough Villa is 1.53. If you think both teams to score and the match results. So if you think Chelsea will win, but with both teams to score is 2.70. If you think this is going to be a draw and both teams to score is 9.0. As for the Middlesbrough Villa game, if you think both teams to score and Villa will win it, they are 2.88. And if you think Borough will win it, with both teams to score is 6.0. Just quickly looking on the Chelsea game on some of the odds from here. If you think it's going to be over 3.5 goals in that game, it's 2.10. If you think it's over 4.5 goals, it's 3.40. If you think Chelsea are going to win 3-0, it's 6.50. If you think Chelsea are going to win 4-0, it's 9.0. If you want to go a bit higher, and if you think Chelsea are going to win 6-2, which is a possibility still, they're 126.0. Of course, all these prices are from NairaBet, and they're all subject to change prior to the games starting.
Thank you very much to John Kane there for all those latest odds with NairaBet, which are, as he said, subject to change. Let's get across to Stamford Bridge, where the teams are out. Let's catch up with our reporter this afternoon, Jack Hesson. Good afternoon, Jack. As Mauricio Pochettino, we heard from him about 25 minutes ago on the show, and he said, look, we're not in Europe, so we need to make the most of the Carabao Cup and the FA Cup, and whilst they've got the semi-final against Middlesbrough, which you would expect them to negotiate, although it's no give me, this is a competition that they really will want to go deep in, and this is a tie that they really should be winning.
Yeah, I think so. The fact that they are currently 10th in the table, they need to try and pick up either one of the two trophies this year. If they could get both, or any one of them, it would be a successful season for them. But it really is hinged upon that just because of how poor they've done in the league so far this season.
We're just going to stop you there, Jack, just for a second, because I can tell you there has been a goal in our game in Italy.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
And I can tell you it has been scored by the home side. Lecce are taking the lead at the Stadio Ettore Gardinaro in Valdemare against Cagliari. We'll hear from Jackson Cole in just a few moments' time to tell us about that goal. Let's head back now to Stamford Bridge, where the game is getting underway. And Jack, we were saying that a must-win for Chelsea. It's not the type of game that Ryan Lowe, the Preston boss, wants to come his way, because he's had a torrid time of things. He's under a bit of pressure at the moment. They've had a little bit of a readjustment behind the scenes, but there's a general discontent amongst the Preston fans who saw their side make a really good start to the season, but they've fallen away and they're in poor form at the moment, aren't they?
Yeah, I think that speaks more to the brutal nature of the Championship, that especially we've seen this season. I mean, Tony Mowbray, the Sunderland manager, relatively high up the table, done well last season, was sacked. Of course, the Birmingham manager previously, before Wayne Rooney, was sacked. And even though, and again, Wayne Rooney came in, didn't do particularly well, was then sacked after that. So it is a relentless league, and regardless of how well you're doing up the table, it's one where you could end up finding yourself in the sack for just a few bad results, for starting the season well and then filtering away throughout the season. Expectations change also, so it doesn't help when you're 14th place in the table, struggling for form. Of course, a win today would be a massive boost, but it shouldn't really be expected for Preston North End to get that this evening. The fans might think otherwise.
Well, you shall wait and see. We'll be back with you very shortly, I'm sure. Jack Hesson is our reporter. This afternoon at Stamford Bridge, where Chelsea take on Championship side Preston North End. Our other two games in the FA Cup have just kicked off, but let's get to Italy and let's talk to Jackson Cole, who can actually just hold on there, Jackson, because we've barely got those 3 cup games underway. And would you believe, in the opening moments, there is already a goal to tell you about in one of our 3 featured games in the FA Cup third round.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
Well, they've hit a little bit of form recently, Sheffield Wednesday, and they've taken an early lead against Cardiff City. We'll be across to Mark Thomas to hear about that in a short while. Let's go and hear about another goal elsewhere in Italy. Sorry, Jackson Cole, we were just about to come to you, and now we can come to you. Lecce have taken the lead against Calgary.
Yeah, Lecce 1, Calgary 0, and it's a goal scored by the French defender Valentin Gendré. It was a corner whipped in from the right by Remy Udan, who hit the post earlier in the game. Brilliant delivery on a sixpence by Gendré, unmarked, headed beyond the Calgary goalkeeper. Lecce 1, Calgary 0.
Thank you very much for that, Jackson. So, Sheffield Wednesday ahead. Josh Windus with a goal after just 2 minutes. Sheffield Wednesday 1, Cardiff City 0. Wednesday last in the final in the mid-90s. Cardiff have been to the final in the last 15 years. And that all-championship tie is, well, off to a flyer. Shall we hear all about it? Why not? Let's go to Mark Thomas. He's at Hillsborough, who can tell us all about that early Josh Windus goal.
Oh, I tell you, people didn't even have time to settle down into their seats here, Barry. It was fast and furious. 1 minute, 9 seconds. The goal by Josh Windus, as you said, a shot which went in. Tremendous start for them. 1-0, 3 minutes gone, and we've barely settled down here. Etete is the leading goal scorer for Cardiff. They'll hopefully get him on the score sheet very, very soon. Of course, Nigerian. But right now, it is leading goal scorer for Sheffield Wednesday, Josh Windus, that has put them in the lead. Sheffield Wednesday 1, Cardiff 0.
Thank you very much for that, Mark. Let's go to Billy Andrews, shall we? They've kicked off and some in the game between Middlesbrough and Aston Villa. In fact, they've had about 4 minutes played in this one. How is it going so far, Billy?
Very even, slightly more Aston Villa, I would say. There's not been a clear-cut chance. Tom Glover, the Borough goalkeeper, did just come out and volley a ball clear from outside his own box. But Villa patient in the build-up. Sorry, and it's Leon Bailey one to keep an eye on, playing in the number 10 position tonight rather than out on the wide right. But 4 minutes gone, still 0-0.
Thank you very much for that, Billy. I can tell you it's all happening in the game between Sheffield Wednesday and Cardiff City. Let's head back to Mark Thomas, shall we? But there's not been a goal. There's been a penalty given to Cardiff, and they've gone and missed it, I understand, Mark.
Yes, they replied very quickly just after it was 1-0. White took the penalty for Cardiff. He put it down the middle. Goalkeeper made a fantastic save. The ball bobbled up into the air, and the goalkeeper grabbed it at the second attempt from the onrushing Cardiff players. It's one heck of a start here. It is fast and furious, and that is no understatement, Barry. After 4.5 minutes, it's Sheffield Wednesday 1, Cardiff 0.
Thank you very much for that, Mark. Off to a flyer at the Hillsborough Stadium. Sheffield Wednesday 1, Cardiff City 0. But Cardiff missing the penalty there. Still 0-0 between Middlesbrough and Aston Villa. Fast-paced start to that game. Villa have got a strong side out tonight, as we've heard already. Chelsea at home against Preston North End this evening. Let's go and hear once again from Jack Hesson. He's watching this one at Stamford Bridge. Chelsea against Preston, still 0-0. Jack, has it been a good start from Chelsea so far?
Yeah, Chelsea are dominating possession at the moment in the first opening 5 minutes. It is still 0-0. There's been a couple of shaky moments. Preston look like they're trying to enact pressure. At times, Malo Gusto just a couple of minutes ago gave the ball away poorly. Preston's right wing back Potts started darting down the wing, but he couldn't find Alan Brown in front of him. But by and large, Chelsea dominating possession, but they really need to start turning that into chances. 5 minutes played, it's still Chelsea 0, Preston North End 0.
Thank you very much for that, Jack. Ivory Coast are now 2-0 up on Sierra Leone in their friendly match being played this evening in San Pedro, and the second goal coming from Frank Kessie. Would you believe the Welsh, anyone with a Welsh background, this is going to be interesting. Right, Cardiff 1-0 down at Sheffield Wednesday. They've missed a penalty. They've just got another penalty, Cardiff, would you believe? It's just been awarded, a second penalty to Cardiff. They're saying it's all happening there. We'll be across to Mark Thomas to hear all about that in a moment. Swansea have taken the lead against Morecambe, and it's been disallowed. And so it's 0-0 in that game. Incidentally, Swansea this week appointed their new manager, and his name is Luke Williams. He was the Notts County manager. One of his last games in charge of Notts County before taking over at Swansea was Notts County 5, Morecambe 0. They're taking on Notts County, had beaten Morecambe 5-0 on December the 29th. 8 days later, Morecambe are the visitors for his new side, Swansea. He'll be looking to emulate that if at all possible. And would you believe Cardiff have just missed a second penalty? After 4 minutes of that game, it's Sheffield Wednesday 1, Cardiff 0, and Cardiff have responded to falling behind after 1 minute and 9 seconds by missing 2 penalties in the opening 4 minutes or so. We'll be across to Mark Thomas. In fact, let's go to Mark now. Mark, you're certainly racking up the early drama in this game. Is that right? 2 penalties for Cardiff and 2 penalties missed?
Yes, 2 penalties in the first 7 minutes of the game and a goal, Barry. This is what the FA Cup is all about. This time, Cardiff chose to have a different penalty taker. They didn't trust White. They came to Callum Robinson to step up. And again, Dawson. 2 saves from penalties in 3.5 minutes. Absolutely incredible. If this game keeps going like this, Barry, I'll have to take some medicine at the end of it for my breath. After 7 minutes, it's Sheffield Wednesday 1, Cardiff 0.
That sounds like a humdinger. Elche 0, Girona 1 in Spain. It's in the Copa del Rey. Girona having a great season. Daley Blind has scored in that game. Elche 0, Girona 1. So let's head to Italy, shall we? Whilst we're in the southern regions of the continent of Europe. And Jackson Cole is watching our featured game in Serie A. Lecce, last time we heard, were leading by a goal to 0, and they come mighty close to making it 2-0, didn't they, Jackson?
Yeah, it really should be 2-0 to Lecce. A massive opportunity falling to their striker, who has 4 goals to season, Nikola Krstovic. It was again a corner from the right, whipped in by Remy Udan. And then Juan Gonzalez, he got on the end of it, and the ball fell very kindly to Krstovic, but his shot first time flashed across goal and wide of the post. But looking back on it, he'll have thought he had more time to control the ball and take the shot. But right now, Claudio Ranieri's Cagliari are still 1 goal down. It's Lecce 1, Cagliari 0.
Chelsea 0, Preston 0, Middlesbrough 0, Aston Villa 0, Sheffield Wednesday 1, Cardiff City 0. But that doesn't tell the story. 2 Cardiff City penalties, both missed in the opening 7 minutes of that game. You just heard from Mark Thomas, and we'll be across those 3 games very, very soon, as well as Lecce against Cagliari, as we just heard there from Jackson Cole. But let's catch up with John Kane now, our producer, sitting in the studio alongside us. And well, the AFCON is just days away now, John, and the big question is who's going to triumph in the coming, 4, 5, 6 weeks of that tournament. By the way, Ivory Coast now 3-0 up against Sierra Leone in the first half. A goal from Jonathan Bamba, giving them a convincing scoreline in the first half. If you're an odds man, John, what's your money on?
Right, I mean, you just mentioned Ivory Coast, so it's worth to note that on NairoBet, of course, all these prices are subject to change. They are 7.50 to win the tournament. They are third favourite behind Morocco and Senegal. Nigeria, they even with NairoBet, they are 10.0 to win the tournament, and you probably can understand why, can you? Because of the way they've got probably the best players in Africa, haven't they, Nigeria? But I think when it comes to playing for in Nigeria itself, it hasn't seemed to be clicking at the moment. So 10.0, I won't bet against it, but I'm actually going to go for Egypt to be 9.50. I was watching the Egyptians play a couple of times, and they really got a very, very good team, and a team have Mo Salah as well, who seem to be click on very well with his teammates, and they've got a few players from abroad as well. Of course, and Nenny from Arsenal. I think they're my tip. They're my tip for the AFCON. Also worth to note, sorry Barry, Morocco, they are the favourites. They're 6.50, and Senegal are second favourite with 7.0. But Nigeria, we talk about Nigeria, they're more or less on the same par as Cameroon and Tunisia when it comes to that.
When you're looking at the teams in there, Senegal very strong. Sadio Mane, Ismaïla Sarr, and Aloy Cissé's got a really strong squad. One of the teams that have kind of fallen a little bit under the radar, Ghana, Chris Hughton, Premier League experience, Andre Ayew scored lots of goals, although he's past his best years. Jordan Ayew's actually having a good season for Crystal Palace. He's been one of their better players in the Premier League. And Mohamed Kudus, looking forward to seeing him, the West Ham United winger, in the AFCON. What are the odds for Ghana?
Yeah, the odds are 15.0, and I won't bet against them either. It's a very good price for a very good team, and like you said, Chris Hughton's a very experienced manager, and they've got lots of experienced players. And for me, Kudus and Jared Borrett from West Ham, they've been absolutely brilliant, haven't they, for their clubs, and absolutely, right, just beautiful to watch. So I won't rule it against them, but you're going to have to take your pick on it when it comes in the other day. I mean, I said Egypt is just my hint telling me Egypt. But when you look at some other other countries, even like Tunisia or Mali or Ghana, they're all very good teams. Algeria, of course, we can't forget Algeria. And it's like you can't pinpoint literally which team going to win it, but of course the bookmakers got their own ways. They've probably researched it much more than we have for price wise, and hence why they put Morocco for 6.50 and Senegal second. But Ghana is a good bet, to be fair, especially if you play it each way, or get into the final. It probably won't be a good bad bet at all.
And you go down the list, Congo, the Leopards, they've got Yohan Wissa of Brentford, who's a really good striker. If him and Cedric Bakambu can get themselves a good partnership going, the Galatasaray striker, who knows with them. And South Africa as well, with Burnley's Lyle Foster now back fit, and you wonder if they've got enough to Hugo Bruce, the coach for South Africa, who's got enough supply line for the Burnley striker to be able to be considered as a real threat in the competition. But you go all the way through these teams, and you've got names of Premier League and top players that have been playing in the top leagues around Europe. It's going to be a fantastic tournament, isn't it?
Absolutely, it's going to be absolutely brilliant tournaments, because even the countries that actually got very high value when it comes to South Africa, like you mentioned, who are 41.0 to win it. I mean, what we've seen over the years, haven't we, is like some countries come in and they come in really strong throughout the tournament. So these odds might get slashed when the tournament starts if they look at South Africa and they start playing very well. I mean, people can't forget Denmark in '92, and they come in by choice, didn't they? By chance, when the old Yugoslavia was eliminated for political reasons, they brought in Denmark, who was second in that group, and they were 8th favourite, the last team favourite in that tournament, and they won it. So when it comes to continental cups, it's very hard to really guess and pinpoint saying that is the team going to win it. So even teams with like South Africa, the Congo, they're 34.0, and Mali, I think Mali would be very outside chance for me if I have to go for a team who is like 20 plus. they're 21.0. So I wouldn't rule out any of them. It's absolutely, it's going to be a brilliant tournament.
Yeah, Mali, a decent team. I'm not sure they've got enough goal for it, but we will see. One thing I will say, John, is what was the last international tournament? It could be AFCON, it could even be the AFC Asian Cup, the Euros over here in Europe, the World Cup. When was the last tournament took place that the favourites actually won? Because in these international tournaments, the favourite, the best team, there's always a team that everyone wants to watch, Brazil, and they never seem to win that tournament, do they? I'm thinking back to perhaps 1970 when Brazil were probably favourites before the first ball was kicked and they won the tournament. Has there been a tournament since where the favourite has come through and won? That would be an interesting question. I'm not sure you got the answer to that, but that's a very, very interesting question. These international tournaments are not known for the favourite going through and getting over the line first. So it's always very interesting. And Nigeria at 10.0, if they can get things clicking, and there's a lot of things that have got to be repaired to make it click, but if they can get things clicking, and my goodness me, when you look at that squad on paper, it really should be clicking, then they are going to take some stopping. I'm not going to back them. I'm going to go with my outside bet of Ghana and Chris Hughton, because I just got that feeling that those two lads from the Premier League, Jordan Ayew, Mohamed Kudus, really looking forward to them. I think Senegal are going to be really strong as well, but I think Nigeria are going to be right up there as well, and it's going to be a really interesting tournament. As you say, Egypt, Mo Salah, he carried them to the final last time, and there's every chance he'll do that again this time around.
Absolutely. I mean, to be honest with you, when it comes to teams like Morocco, who are favourites, 6.50, we talk about favourites here, they're favourites for the tournament, but they're favourites for the tournament, from my point of view, is because of their adventure in the last World Cup, which was about a year ago, and they obviously got to the semi-finals of the World Cup. That is what it's based on. It's not really based on what's probably happened in the last year or so. Obviously, there's been up and down with certain other countries like Nigeria, Tunisia and Ghana. But in the day, Morocco are their favourites just because of their adventure. But we don't know. That team might not click in the AFCON. We've seen it so many times when teams done very well in the World Cup and they all of a sudden they didn't do well in the European Cups or in AFCONs, or done very well in the AFCONs and got to the European Cup, to the World Cup, and they didn't do well. So it's going to be really trying to find a balance. And I personally think the only reason why Morocco are favourites, it's not because they're better than the rest. It's just because of reaching the semi-final in the World Cup less than a year ago.
Which they've done with no expectation. Expectation will be high on Morocco. John, thank you very much. We'll catch up later in the show, I am sure. Let's get around those grounds, shall we, from the African Cup of Nations, which starts next weekend, to the FA Cup, where the third round has kicked off this weekend. It kicked off on Thursday, actually. Crystal Palace 0, Everton 0, but don't worry, it has got better. Let's go around the grounds and let's head to Stamford Bridge first of all and catch up with Jav Kesson, who can give us an update on Chelsea's home game against Preston North End.
Yeah, it's been a decent game so far, given the fact it's still 0-0, 18 minutes played. There's a half chance there from Raheem Sterling, blocked by the defender in front of the goal, but by and large Chelsea dominated possession. I'll tell you what though, Preston, when they go forward, they look like they're up for this and they look like they want to have a go as well. When they get the ball, they're looking to try and move it forward, move it quickly, try and hit Chelsea on the break, and it's been a really decent cup tie so far. We just need some goals in the game. So it's 18 minutes played, it's still Chelsea 0, Preston North End 0.
Thank you very much for that, Jack. We've had plenty of goals in the 4 FA Cup matches earlier on today. Hull 1, Birmingham 1, Stoke 2, Brighton 4, Watford 2, Chesterfield, the non-leaguers 1, and Queen's Park Rangers 2, Bournemouth 3. Plenty of goals in those games. Just the one in the games that we're covering so far. Still 0-0 between Middlesbrough and Aston Villa. Nearly 20 minutes gone. Let's catch up with Billy Andrews. Who's on top of this one so far, Billy?
Definitely the away side, Aston Villa. They had a great chance through John Duran, but he was just forced wide by Rav van den Berg, and Tom Glover made a good save to his left. The other one, it was Jacob Ramsey whipping a ball in. It fell to Matty Cash, who volleyed it first time, but it was blocked well by Lucas Engel. Middlesbrough, they've had one adventure forward through Isaiah Jones, but his cross was blocked. He lost his footing as well in the end, so it wasn't a very good one anyway. But Aston Villa fairly comfortable without creating too much of a clear chance so far, but nearly 20 minutes gone, still 0-0.
Thank you, Billy. We'll go to Hillsborough in just a few moments' time. First of all, let's head to Italy, where the half-time whistle has blown between Lecce and Cagliari. Here's Jackson Cole.
Lecce 1, Cagliari 0. A header by Valentin Gendre just after the half-hour mark. It's all that separates the two sides at the moment. The French defender nodding in a corner from the left by a fellow countryman, Remy Udan. The home side have had opportunities in the first half of Udan's long-range effort coming back off the post, while striker Nicholas Kirstovic put the ball wide from inside the 6-yard box, albeit from an acute angle. As for Claudio Ranieri's Cagliari, they started the contest brightly with defender Alberto De Sena's 5th-minute header bouncing just wide of goal. But Lecce are firmly in charge, and as the game goes on, they may want to protect their lead and use left-back Patrick Dorgu, the Danish youth international who is eligible to play for Nigeria. He's currently on the bench. So half-time at Lecce, it's Lecce 1, Cagliari 0.
Jackson, thank you very much. He can go and get his half-time refreshments whilst we head to Hillsborough, where I think we got enough entertainment into the opening 7 minutes to last 90. Who was the last football team to miss 2 penalties in the opening 7 minutes of a football match before? Cardiff City done exactly that today. Here is Mark Thomas to tell us all about a riveting game at Hillsborough.
Well, I was going to ask you that question, Barry. I don't know what's happened here. I think everybody's gone to sleep because we haven't had any penalties or goals in 10 minutes. Bowler did cut inside with a shot that just went wide after 11 minutes. It's been a balanced game, pretty hectic. Valentino is playing very, very well wide, and Firmino is a threat as well. A bit bogged down in midfield. We've had a couple of chances from Welsh international Ruben Colwill for Cardiff, which have been saved, and Diaby just whistled a shot, whisker wide of the upright. After 21 minutes, it's still Sheffield Wednesday 1, Cardiff 0.
Thank you very much, Mark Thomas, watching what has been probably the best of the three so far, even though billing-wise it's probably the least exciting of the three. The Championship get-together between Sheffield Wednesday and Cardiff City. There were a number of games played last night. In fact, 4 ties played before today have all taken place in London, and the reason for that, not just television rights, but the fact that just about every team in London has been drawn at home in the FA Cup third round. So Crystal Palace had to play Everton on Thursday. Fulham and also Tottenham Hotspur played last night and won 1-0 at home. Brentford Wolves was a 1-1 draw, so they will need to replay at Molineux in a few weeks' time. Let's hear from the Tottenham Hotspur manager, Ange Postecoglou, whose team squeezed past Burnley by a single goal to nil.
Looked like that's what it's going to take because, obviously, I thought we controlled the game enough and just a bit wasteful in front of goal. But it's a cup competition. The most important thing is you find a way to win, and we did that. It is what it is. You just got to deal with it. Like I said, the most important thing is that you can sit there and analyse it, but ultimately in a cup competition, it's about being successful to get through to the next round, because in every game you're going to play in a knockout comp, it's going to take something on the day to get it done. Sometimes you can, that can be something conventional, sometimes it's unconventional, or something special like tonight, but as long as it gets the job done.
Smashing goal it was too from Pedro Porro. Wonderful strike with the outside of the right boot, which flew into the top corner. Wonderful goal. And they saw off Burnley in that all-Premier League tie by a goal to nil. Let's head down to Stamford Bridge. Still Chelsea 0, Preston North End 0. But as Jack Hesson is just about to tell you, a big, big chance for Chelsea.
Oh, a massive chance for Chelsea to take the lead. It was Enzo Fernandez in the middle of the park. A beautiful chipped pass from about 30 yards to find Cole Palmer. Unlock the Preston defence. Cole Palmer bearing down on goal. Woodman in goal for Preston. To his credit, comes out, makes himself look big and puts him off just enough. Palmer tries to chip his shot towards his right-hand side of the post, and it just goes wide, but he really should have done better there. And moment of hesitancy from Palmer stops the game from being 1-0. 23 minutes gone, it's still Chelsea 0, Preston 0.
Thank you very much, Jack Hesson, watching that game earlier on today. The big headline news in the FA Cup. Maidstone United from the 6th tier, the National League South, beating League One Stevenage 1-0. So there will be non-league representation for Maidstone United in round 4 of the FA Cup. Newcastle back to winning ways, winning 3-0 at Sunderland. Brighton had to come from behind to win 4-2 at Stoke, which you heard earlier on. Bristol Rovers from League One holding Norwich of the Championship away from home to a 1-1 draw. Southampton continued their unbeaten run. Fantastic run they are on their way back to the Premier League, it seems. And they thrashed Walsall 4-0 this afternoon at St Mary's. Another win for Plymouth Argyle. Good result for Eastleigh as well, down to 10 men early in the game away at Newport County, but they've managed to squeeze a 1-1 draw out of that game, and they take that replay back to Hampshire in 10 days' time. So there will be 2 non-league teams in the draw for the FA Cup, albeit it will be Eastleigh or Newport County. And let's just have a quick look at what's happening, shall we? Middlesbrough against Aston Villa. There's about 25 and a half minutes gone. Let's go to Billy Andrews, who can tell us the latest in that game.
Not really much showing from Middlesbrough at the moment, but Isaiah Jones has gone into the referee's notebook for just a lunge from behind on Ezri Concert. A little bit of attention at his ankle, but nothing given. But Aston Villa struggling to create anything clear-cut. They're passing the ball nicely, but nothing that you call a golden opportunity, and they really are struggling to get Duran involved in the game. I think possibly in the second half we could see Ollie Watkins, but at the moment, just coming up to the 26-minute mark, it's still 0-0.
Thank you very much for that, Billy. Right. Yes, we're getting. We're trying to catch up with who last missed 2 penalties in a game. Real Madrid's Sergio Ramos missed 2 penalties for Spain against Switzerland, and that was a while ago. But it wasn't in the first 7 minutes, I don't think. But that was a while ago. Right, we'll take a break, I think, and then we'll be back with more FA Cup action. It's been a pulsating afternoon so far. There's more drama to come. Chelsea in action, Aston Villa in action, and Sheffield Wednesday against Cardiff City have given us an indicator that they've got plenty to offer at Hillsborough this afternoon. 2 missed penalties and a goal inside the opening 7 minutes. We'll keep it right across all of those games right here. You are listening to Football Live.
Football Live. Football's never sounded so good on Brilla FM every Saturday and Sunday.
Football Live continues its FA Cup adventure tomorrow afternoon. Join John Kane on the road to Wembley with all eyes on the tie of the round as Arsenal take on Liverpool at the Emirates. Holders Manchester City begin their defence of the trophy at home to Huddersfield Town. And Napoli look to pick up points on the road without Victor Osimhen. They go to Torino in our featured match in Italy in Serie A. Join us tomorrow afternoon on Football Live right here on Brilla FM from 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Football Live exclusively covering the FA Cup, the greatest cup competition on the planet.
From the beginning.
Hit it, boys. You are listening to Football Live. Live and exclusive on Brilla FM. Join round the corner where the big boys play.
And here it begins.
Football Live. Our proof that Sports Radio 88.9 Brilla FM has gone beyond one league. Football Live. It takes you from country to country, venue to venue. Football Live. It's about eyewitness reports at match venues exclusively for Sports Radio 88.9 Brilla FM.
I can tell you, no, I can't tell you anything.
Pity those poor North London supporters. Absolute chaos at the Etihad.
Yes, the goal has finally come.
Attack.
We've heard about the goat in the crowd. Is there a goal on the pitch?
Is Victor Osimhen with the goal.
And I'm sure most Chelsea fans out there listening will agree that that simply is not good enough.
We're zigzagging all over the United Kingdom.
And they've got to play 3-4-2. No, 3-4-3 looks like.
Get involved in NairaBet Sunday Special and net yourself a free bet. Arsenal take on Liverpool at the Emirates, and we are giving away a 100% matched free bet up to 1,000 Naira. Whether you back the Gunners or the Reds, even if your bet does not win, you will still be eligible for the free bet. All you need to do is log in to www.nairabet.com. Bet on Liverpool versus Arsenal. Receive your free bet to use on any sports or virtuals. To qualify, just place a bet on either the pre-match markets or in play. Full details can be found on our promotions page. Must be over 18, minimum odds of 1.5. Must be a real money bet. Cashed out bets do not qualify. General and free bet terms and conditions apply. Please gamble responsibly. Let's get back to the action on Football Live. powered by NairoBet. This is Football Live with Barry Swain.
Let's get back to Stamford Bridge, shall we? Chances at both ends. Jack Hesson, but still 0-0.
Yes, still 0-0, but a really good chance from Preston there. It was a good goal kick from Freddie Woodman all the way towards the right-hand side. Brad Potts, the right wing-back, beats Enzo Fernandez to the header. He flicks it on towards striker Osmajic. He's on the right-hand side. It's a tight angle, bearing down towards the goal. Chelsea picking up to him. He's got Wilkin on his left, but he opts to go for a weak effort on goal, and it's easily saved by Chelsea goalkeeper Petrovic. Then Chelsea go up the park. Sterling on the right hand side whips in across, deflects. The deflection loops towards Enzo Fernandez in the middle of the box, and his header is straight at goalkeeper Freddie Woodman. Chances coming in this game, but we're just needing goals. 30 minutes played. It's still Chelsea 0, Preston 0.
Thank you very much, Jack Hesson at Stamford Bridge. Still 0-0 between Chelsea and Preston North End. Chelsea still looking for that breakthrough. We'll be straight across as soon as anything happens in that game. We'll be giving you regular updates throughout the evening. Let's hear from the Sheffield Wednesday manager, Danny Roll. He's done a great job since he's taken over at Hillsborough. They've won the last two. They've climbed to within touch and distance of safety in the Championship when they looked relegated in September without a win. Danny Roll was speaking before this afternoon's game, or this evening's game, which is currently going on. And we'll hear from Mark Thomas with the latest update from Hillsborough in just a second. But first of all, here is Danny Roll.
Yeah, hey, at first, I think the cup is always special, because then it's a short way to win something. Sometimes you have the smaller teams against the big teams, you have always interesting games, and for sure. I spoke today with my players as well, for me it's about to keep the momentum, but for sure we will have some players, then we have to look how good it is that they play, if there's a risk then it makes no sense that they play. For me it's about keep the momentum, show again a good performance, try to come in the next round for sure. This is what we have to want and what we want to do.
So we sent Mark Thomas to Hillsborough. We promised it wouldn't be a 0-0, and sure enough, he delivered a very early goal, 2 missed penalties. Anything happened since, Mark?
Well, it's gone from a sizzler to a bit of a stalemate, to be perfectly honest with you. There's been a few chances, half chances. Teke, the Nigerian, of course, he juggled the ball, and there was shouts for a third penalty there, but it wasn't given for handball. Robinson shot just wide from 25 yards out. Windass looks busy. He's been fouled heavily a couple of times. Cardiff marginally on top, chasing the equaliser here. Maybe at halftime they'll be out practicing penalties, because if they would have been a little bit more accurate, they would have been 2-1 up in this game. But as it stands right now, 13 minutes to go before halftime, it's still Sheffield Wednesday 1, Cardiff City 0.
Thank you very much for that, Mark. Cameron Dawson saving 2 penalties. He has now saved 7 of the last 10 penalties that he has faced. Cameron Dawson, the penalty save king when it comes to goalkeepers. The Sheffield Wednesday goalkeeper, 2 more saves today. 7 penalties out of the last 10 saved by him. And he saved 2 in the space of 3 minutes in that game. Chelsea 5 shots, 3 on target. Preston 2 shots, 2 on target. Preston hanging on in there. Let's get across to Middlesbrough against Aston Villa. It was billed as one of the ties of the round. So far, it's not delivered any goals. Aston Villa, last time we heard, with a better side. Is that still the case, Billy Andrews?
It is very much the case. They're still very much on top, but a few clear-cut chances created. Tom Glover's had a couple of tips over the top of the bar, but shots that weren't on target to begin with. And like I said, we were hoping for a score draw. I think we're going to get a ball draw at this rate. Sam Greenwood and Coburn up front. I think I can count on one hand the amount of times they've touched the ball combined so far. So Borough really struggling to get those forwards involved. John McGinn doing the Lord's work in midfield, winning the ball back, doing that dirty work he does so well. But Leon Bailey struggling in that 10 position as Tom Glover makes a very good save from Leon Bailey, and it did go out for a corner this time. So 34 minutes gone, it's still 0-0.
Thank you very much, Billy. Middlesbrough, no shots on target. Villa, 4 shots, 2 on target. They're very much on top there, although Middlesbrough did just a few moments ago have a good chance, which Emiliano Martinez parried behind for a corner kick. Middlesbrough 0, Aston Villa 0. We're looking at shocks. There was one at the Gallagher Stadium down in Kent in the Garden of England earlier on today. Maidstone United beating Stevenage by 1-0 and moving in to the 4th round of the FA Cup. Let's hear from the Stevenage manager, Steve Evans. And I have to admit, this is a great interview, who was very humble in defeat.
Steve, I guess you're the first to congratulate Maidstone, but I would imagine you're an angry man.
Yeah, very much so. I've just been in the dressing room. My words to them is that they've been an absolute credit to the football club, credit to themselves, and I hope they get their ample rewards in the draw. I really do. For us, I don't think we gave enough respect on the pitch, not meaningfully, but I don't think we gave enough respect first half. Certainly Maidstone looked a better team than us in the first half. I don't know if it's a penalty. It certainly looks a penalty. And then second half, you give them something to hold on to, and so. Congratulations to George and Maidstone.
Well, that was Steve Evans, the Stevenage manager, who, of course, orchestrated the victory for Stevenage away at Aston Villa in the Cup last week. But from Giant Killers, they're now the victims of giant killing this afternoon, Stevenage. Let's go to Jackson Cole. He is watching Lecce against Cagliari. The second half has just started. Lecce are ahead, and they nearly went further ahead, didn't they, Jackson?
Yep, 50 minutes on the clock. Lecce 1, Cagliari 0, and yet the home side almost got their second goal of the game. It was the left back, Antonio Gallo. He found himself in space inside the Cagliari box, and then he poked the ball just wide of goal, but perhaps the better option would have been to try and find a teammate with a pass across goal, because the keeper would have been in no man's land. After all, no changes made by either manager Roberto De Versa, the Lecce manager, or Claudio Ranieri, who of course has managed many times in the Premier League with Chelsea, winning the Premier League with Leicester and with Watford. And well, if the scores stay like this, Cagliari are going to be in the relegation zone of Serie A. So just after 51 minutes played, it's Lecce 1, Cagliari 0.
Thank you very much. Let's go to the Riverside Stadium up in the northeast of England. Middlesbrough in the Championship 0, Aston Villa 0. Last time we heard, a chance for Borough and a big injury problem for Aston Villa, Billy Andrews.
Yeah, that Borough chance, it was nicked off of Ezra Constance to begin with, and then Sam Greenwood just driving, but it's driven too wide, and then his shot is pushed away. And an injury to Jacob Ramsey, just caught by Hayden Hackney. Ezri Constance then booked for descent. So I'll keep an update on Jacob Ramsey, but that ankle looks a little bit tender. He's still being looked at by the medical staff. Still 0-0.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
And I can tell you it's a second goal for Sheffield Wednesday at Hillsborough. It's Sheffield Wednesday 2, Cardiff City 0. If they want some good news, Cardiff City, there have been teams that have gone into the 4th round draw this afternoon, having been 2-0 down. Just ask Bournemouth, they were 2-0 down at half-time against Queen's Park Rangers and won by 3-2 in one of our 4 games that we covered earlier on in the show. But it's Sheffield Wednesday 2, Cardiff City 0. We'll be across to Mark Thomas in a few moments' time to hear about that goal. In France, it was Cup Day as well. Golden Lion from Martinique endured an 8,000-mile round trip to France today, as they are an island that are one of France's overseas territories. They are invited to come and compete in Europe in the Cup competitions, and they took part in the Coupe de France today against Ligue 1 side Lille, and Lille really did put them to the sword. They won by 12-0, having endured that 8,000-mile round trip. They have gone out to the League 1 side, who go through to the round of 32. 2 players hitting hat-tricks in that game, and the poor old Golden Lion were well and truly beaten. 7 goals in the first half, another 5 in the second half, and we've had another goal at Hillsborough.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
Romain Sawyer's made it 2-0 for Sheffield Wednesday. I can tell you Sheffield Wednesday have just gone 3-0 up. We will be across to Mark Thomas to hear all about those goals in just a few minutes' time. Let's head back to Stamford Bridge, shall we? And let's find out if Chelsea have made any roads towards opening the scoring against the Championship opponents, Preston North End. Here's Jack Hesson.
Yeah, we're 40 minutes in and Chelsea are starting to struggle a wee bit more in this game now. Preston have had a bit more of the ball. There's a bit of a confidence about Preston as well when they go forward. They're trying to sit back, trying to hit Chelsea on the break, particularly on that left-hand side. They're getting the ball to the left wing-back Liam Miller, who's up against Alfie Gilchrist, one of the youth players making his first start for Chelsea today. And they're getting a wee bit of joy at the moment. I think Chelsea, for their still in control of the game by and large, but really they just need a goal to try and settle any potential nerves, because the longer I think this game is 0-0, the more confidence Preston will grow. 40 minutes played, however, it's still Chelsea 0, Preston 0.
Thank you very much, Jack. Ivory Coast now 4-0 up early in the second half in that friendly against Sierra Leone in the build-up to the AFCON next week. Ivory Coast 4, Sierra Leone 0. Jeremy Boga with the fourth goal. A comfortable win, it looks like, being for Ivory Coast this afternoon. Let's go to Hillsborough. Not one goal, but two goals to tell us about. And it does look now, Mark Thomas, as if Sheffield Wednesday are en route to round 4.
Yes, it does indeed, Barry. All the goals are coming in 3-minute batches here, it seems, today. We had a goal after 37 minutes from Ithekwe. Corner came in from the left-hand side. Everybody missed it at the back post, including the goalkeeper and the defence, and he was there to put it in. And then a rocket about 3 minutes later from Liam Palmer. Caught the ball after a Masaba cross was badly defended by Cardiff, pushed out, and an absolute rocket which gave the goalkeeper Aldwick absolutely no chance. It is after 41 minutes, Sheffield Wednesday 3, Cardiff City 0.
Thank you very much, Mark. He's getting all the goals there, isn't he? Still 0-0 at Stamford Bridge, still 0-0 at the Riverside, and Billy Andrews, a yellow card for dissent for Liam Bailey.
Yeah, and to be fair, he has a point to be angry with the linesman on this near side. He's clattered into, really, ploughed through the back of by Lucas Engel. Doesn't get the ball, takes the man out, and the linesman on the near side gives a throw in to Middlesbrough. So he's laying and giving the linesman a piece of his mind. The referee says, mate, can't do that anymore, son, and puts him in the book. And Morgan Rogers has just had a volley from just outside the box, but horribly wide, horribly uncontrolled, and no danger for Emi Martinez. Borough starting to get a little bit more of the ball. Aston Villa getting a little bit tetchy, but with 3 minutes before half-time, it's still 0-0.
Thank you very much, Billy. We mentioned about that 12-0 scoreline in the French Cup. It's a little bit tighter in the game between Amiens and Montpellier, but Montpellier of Ligue 1 are now 2-0 up in that game. The Ghanaian-born Kelvin Yeboah scoring a second goal for Montpellier. It's usually goals with Montpellier in action, and that's sure enough the case tonight. Montpellier 2-0 up in that game. In fact, Amiens, just as I speak, have scored to make it 2-1. Luis Mafuta with the goal. Let's, where should we go next? I tell you what, let's go back to Mark Thomas and the game between Sheffield Wednesday and Cardiff City. Mark, looking at the stats, Cardiff have actually been better away from home this season than they have at home, certainly recently, winning their last two away, but they're going to have to deliver something pretty exceptional just to stay in the cup today.
Yes, they will, Barry. To be honest, they'll feel very, very unfortunate to be losing 3-0 at this point. I mean, besides the two penalties, which, most penalties get scored, they'll feel that they've been slightly the better team throughout this match. And certainly at halftime, they're going to have to go in and reassemble themselves, have a cup of tea, come out with a plan, because at 3-0, this game has slipped away from them in the first half. It is just coming up to halftime, and let's hope we can get an equally good second half, because this one's been a cracker.
Yes, and it looks like 3 wins out of 3 for Sheffield Wednesday, who are going great guns under Danny Röhl, their new manager. He really has picked them up and he's got them playing some exciting football, having been promoted from the League One third tier last season up to the Championship. It's a long-awaited promotion. They've had to wait and bide their time, and it looks like they were going to go straight back down, but they're making a real fight of things down at the bottom of the table, and it's Still 3-0 in that game with half-time fast approaching. Now, quick reminder that we've got a great show coming up tomorrow on Football Live. It's going to be hosted by John Kane, and we've got a number of big games as the FA Cup third round continues to take centre stage. Manchester City taking on one of Sheffield Wednesday's relegation rivals, Huddersfield Town. That's at the Etihad. We've also got Peterborough United against Leeds United. That could be a shock in the making. Torino against Napoli. No Victor Osimhen, of course, for Napoli as they look to pick up points away from home. Tough game in Serie A away at Torino. Back in the FA Cup, West Ham against Bristol City. West Bromwich Albion against another non-league side, Aldershot Town. And Andrew Bonacore will be watching Arsenal against Liverpool in the tie of the round later on in the show tomorrow, whilst Salernitana take on Juventus. Juventus now 5 points behind Inter Milan at the top of Serie A after Inter had a last gasp winner today to go 5 points clear at the top in the early kick-off at lunchtime. Inter Milan 5 points clear of Juventus. They need a win at Salernitana tomorrow. We'll have that game covered right here on Football Live with John Kane tomorrow afternoon. Let's head off to, where should we go? I think let's go to Chelsea, shall we? I think the half-time whistle has just blown at Stamford Bridge, and it's not quite going the way of the Blues so far. Goalless at half-time, Jack Hesson.
Yeah, and undoubtedly I think Preston will be the happier of the two sides going into the second half. Chelsea, they've dominated possession by and large, around about 63-64%, but they haven't really converted that into a lot of clear-cut chances. The best chance, as I mentioned, was Fernandez's brilliant lobbed pass towards Cole Palmer, bearing down on goal. The goalkeeper Woodman came out, made himself look big, put him off, and just put him off enough to make him miss the shot wide. But Palmer showed a bit of hesitancy, and if he showed a bit more composure, he really would have scored that. Preston, to their credit, they've been in this game, they've been in Chelsea's faces, playing a 3-5-2, attacking down the left and the right hand side, and looking dangerous when they do so as well. But again, chances have been few and far between. They're certainly still in this game at the moment, and a cup shock is certainly still on as well. Half time at Stamford Bridge, it's Chelsea 0, Preston 0.
Thank you very much, Jack. Half times in the FA Cup third round. 4 ties being played at the moment. Thank goodness for Sheffield Wednesday, because they're 3-0 up on Cardiff City. Cardiff missing 2 penalties, as we heard, because the other games are Chelsea 0, Preston 0, Swansea 0, Morecambe 0, and as we're just about to hear, the half-time report from Billy Andrews, Middlesbrough 0, Aston Villa 0.
Michael Carrick, very much the happier of the two managers, but not by much. He'll be disappointed his side haven't really created anything, but Aston Villa very on top against the home side. Couple of half chances, one fell to Jean Duran, he was forced wide by Vandenberg, and good save, I should say, from Tom Glover. Another one, a volley from Matty Cash, this time blocked by Engels. 2 players booked for Villa for dissent, Ezri Konsa and Leon Bailey. Possibly a job for Ollie Watkins in the second half. They're missing that firepower. One chance at the end of the half for Middlesbrough. Bangura got down that left-hand side, whipped in a fantastic cross. It was missed by Coburn, the striker, and Isaiah Jones on that right-hand side put it so far wide, you could have had 2 goals lined up side to side, and it still wouldn't have been on target. So 0-0 at the half. Both managers got some words for their forwards, I reckon, but a lively second half should come up in about 15 minutes.
Thank you very much, Billy. We'll let Billy go off and have a half-time refreshment or two, and he'll be back for the second half. Middlesbrough 0, Aston Villa 0. 0-0 in 3 of the 4 FA Cup ties taking place at the moment. Let's head to the one game that has got goals. Mark Thomas has had plenty of incident in his first half, and it's not over yet. They're into stoppage time at Hillsborough. Sheffield Wednesday still in complete control, Mark Thomas.
Yes, they're in complete control. The Cardiff City have just had 2 great chances. Musaba shot wide, and then Colwell shot saved by the goalkeeper Dawson, and then another shot from Colwell. 2 saves in a row. Dawson saving the day for Sheffield Wednesday. They should give him the keys of the city after this game if they end up winning it. Sheffield Wednesday still leading by 3-0. 4 minutes of extra time being played. Right now, Sheffield Wednesday fans thinking about that glass of wine, while Cardiff fans Well, they're going to be treading grapes if this keeps up.
Thank you very much, Mark. I'm thinking about that glass of wine sitting here at the moment as we move into, the last hour of the show. Sheffield Wednesday 3, Cardiff City 0. They were finalists a few years ago, Cardiff City. Well, the odds of them reaching the final in the FA Cup this season are very, very slim indeed. So just to recap, Sheffield Wednesday 3, Cardiff City 0. That is now a half-time. Swansea 0, Morecambe 0, Chelsea 0, Preston 0, and Middlesbrough 0, Aston Villa 0. So with those 4 matches now at half-time, let's catch up with the very latest odds.
Here's John Kane with all the very latest odds from NairaBet.
Yes, all the latest odds from NairaBet. Of course, all these prices are subject to change. Let's start with Chelsea. They're still 0-0 at half-time with Preston North End. Chelsea now are 1.44 for the win. The draw is 3.60, and for a shock for Preston to win it is 9.50. Borough Villa likewise is 0-0. Middlesbrough are 5.50 for the win. The draw is 3.0, and away win for Aston Villa is 1.83. Swansea, the third tie in that round in our games that we're not featuring, but we're keeping an eye on. It's still 0-0 against Morecambe between away to Swansea. Swansea are 1.60 for the win. The draw is 3.10, and Morecambe are 10.0. The reason why I left Sheffield Wednesday last, because I have to go inside the best because they are the last one, and Sheffield Wednesday are leading of 3-0. Now if you think it's going to be a draw, it's 21.0, and an away win for Cardiff is 67.0. But if we look at over plus goals, if it's going to be over 4.5 goals in that game, it's probably the best odds I can give you. It's 2.0, so 2 more goals and you get 2.0 for that. Over 5.5 goals is 4.0. If we keep an eye on some of the other games, the Lecce Cagliari, who are keeping an eye on as well, 66 minutes gone, it's still 1-0 to Lecce. Lecce are 1.33 to maintain that lead, 4.50 for the win, and Cagliari are 17.0. It'd be worth asking Jackson Cole if it's worth any of the draw or the away odds for Cagliari. Of course, all these prices are from NairaBet and is all subject to change.
Thank you very much, John. And on that subject, let's head back to our game in Italy. It's entering the final stages now. It's the game between Lecce and Cagliari, and watching it for us for Football Live is Jackson Cole.
Yeah, halfway into the second half, still 1-0 to Lecce against Cagliari, and not too much by the way of clear-cut chances since you last came to me. And well, if we're talking about odds, I think the odds are pretty against the away side because they haven't really offered too much by the way of chances throughout the whole game, but not at all in the second half. The biggest flashpoint was that Gallo chance, and then there was also a bit of handbags between the goal scorer Valentin Gendre and Angelo, the Cagliari left back. But yeah, at the moment it's still Lecce 1, Cagliari 0.
Thank you very much. We'll have some transfer talk after the break, but it's pretty much time now to hand you back to our colleagues at Brilla FM. FJ is on standby to take your calls and to mingle with you on social media. It's been an epic FA Cup day so far. There's more to come. Will Chelsea win? We shall find out when you're back with us in a few minutes' time. Over to you, FJ.
Hit it, boys.
Powered by NairaBet. This is Football Live with Barry Swain.
Thank you very much, FJ. And in answer to your question, who was the last Premier League team to be knocked out by a League One side? Well, the answer to that, I think, unless I'm mistaken, I think it was Stevenage, and they beat Aston Villa last season, didn't they? 2-0 at actually they were League Two, weren't they? So now you're asking a League One. Oh, do you know what? You caught me there, because they are now League One, aren't they, Stevenage? But they were League Two at the time. They were promoted last season from League Two to League One. But I'm going to stick with that anyway. Otherwise, oh goodness me, I'll have to have a think about that one if it is still League One, and that was a trick question. Right, let's get ourselves around the ground, shall we? We're into the second half, and our 3 cup ties. No goals in 3 of those games before half-time. I can tell you Swansea have taken the lead in their game at home to Morecambe. Their new manager will be a very happy man indeed. As mentioned to you earlier, Luke Williams was manager of Notts County and then he left Notts County to become manager of Swansea. One of his last games 8 days ago was a 5-0 win for Notts County against Morecambe. They're 1-0 up against Morecambe this afternoon, and I can tell you Charlie Patino, on loan from Arsenal, has got that goal. Let's get around the grounds. We're going to start with the game at Stamford Bridge. Goalless at half-time, still goalless. Chelsea still scraping around, looking for that all-important breakthrough, Jack Hesson.
Yeah, 50 minutes gone and the second half has started much like the first half was. Chelsea dominating possession, Preston really stubborn and aggressive in defence, but going forward, whenever they get the ball, they look slightly dangerous, they look a bit more forward-thinking in their passing to try and counter Chelsea. It has been much the same. Chelsea just struggling to muster chances at the moment. And again, the longer it feels like this game goes at 0-0, the more momentum builds for Preston. There's a full allocation of Preston supporters in the shed end, which Preston are now attacking to the left-hand side. So all the momentum is starting to shift in Preston's direction. And Chelsea need a goal to try and make things a bit easier for them this evening. 51 minutes played. It's still Chelsea 0, Preston 0.
The goals, powered by NairoBet.
I can tell you there's been a goal in our featured game in Serie A at the Stadio Ettore Giardiniero in Villa de Mer. Lecce were leading and they were in control against struggling Cagliari. Is that still the case, Jackson Cole, or have Cagliari strike back?
No, it isn't. It's Lecce 1, Cagliari 1, a goal completely against the run of play this afternoon, and it was scored by Gaetano Oristano, his second goal of the season. He finished on the stretch. It was a lovely delivery from the right with a free kick by, and there was Oristano who got in at the back post, sliding in with his left foot. The ball going just over the line after the goalkeeper for Lecce, Vladimiro Falcone, managed to beat the ball away, but it was just over as the goal line technology demonstrated. And you know what? This has really thrown the game into a state of chaos. Straight after the equaliser, Matteo Prati, he forced Falcone into an acrobatic save just 30 seconds or so after the equaliser. And well, with just over 5 minutes left of the 90, this game really is anyone's. It's Lecce 1, Cagliari 1.
Thank you very much. Let's head straight to the Riverside. Still waiting for the first goal in this game, but my goodness me, you don't come much closer than hitting the post, Billy Andrews.
You certainly do not, and there's a reason only Blackburn Rovers have conceded more goals from corners in the Championship this season than Middlesbrough. Aston Villa have had 3 in the first 10 minutes of this second half and almost scored from all 3 of them. I'll tell you about that post chance first. He lost his marker at Ezri Konsa. He lost the number 10, Rogers. Free header, glanced in, it just kissed the wrong side of the post, an inch to the left, and it would have gone in past Glover. The first one, it was a nice work move. It was played out to Leon Bailey. Leon Bailey played it out to John McGinn. His first time shot was tipped over the bar by Glover. And just now, they've taken a third corner after that one that hit the post from Ezri Konsa. It missed everybody, over the head of everybody, and Alex Moreno's there at the back post and just volleys over any composure from the left back, and it surely would have been 1-0. But Aston Villa very much on top like they were in the first half. They come agonisingly close to taking the lead, but 55 minutes gone, it's still 0-0.
Thank you very much, Billy. In Spain, Girona have gone 2-0 up at Elche. Ian Cotto with a second goal in the Spanish Cup. In Portugal, they're back from their short winter break, and Rafa has scored for Benfica. They lead 1-0 away at Arouca. What a title race that is, by the way, in Portugal. The three giants, Sporting, Benfica and Porto, are all going toe-to-toe this season. Well, halfway through the season, and you would not want to call which one of those three is going to be triumphant in the title race. It could well go right down to the last kick of the last game of the season, the way things are going. Let's head back quickly let's go to our game in Italy. Jackson Cole, who can tell us about a Nigerian link who's just come on for Lecce.
Yes, it's Patrick Dorgu, who's a Denmark youth player, a 19-year-old fullback, but he is still eligible to play for Nigeria. He's been thrown on by Lecce boss Roberto De Versa as they desperately seek that win that they would deserve. But, well, they didn't take their chances when they were a goal up, and they've been punished. The equaliser coming on 68 minutes through Gaetano Oristano. And, yeah, we're on 87 minutes now, and it's Lecce 1, Cagliari 1.
Thank you very much for that, Jackson. Let's head back to Hillsborough. That's the place to go for the goals, it seems, in the late kickoffs in the FA Cup third round. There is Mark Thomas. He's had 3 goals, 2 missed penalties. Anything else to tell us about?
Not yet, Barry. We've had 8 minutes of this game now in the second half, and no goals and no penalties. What is happening here at Hillsborough? The closest we've had, Callum Robinson went through on goal. He couldn't get his final pass across the goal. It dwindled out for a corner, and nothing resulted from that. That's about it right now. The Bluebird fans are not singing so much, but, you know, the Owls, they won't give a hoot about that, Barry, pardon the pun. 53 minutes gone. Sheffield Wednesday 3, Cardiff City 0.
Thank you very much for that, Mark. Well, Chelsea need a goal. They need a goal from somewhere. I can tell you, they've got one.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
We heard from Mauricio Pochettino earlier, and he wasn't giving too much away as to whether he was going to bring a striker in the January transfer window. But one of the strikers that he's got there at Stamford Bridge at the moment has delivered an all-too-rare goal. Only his second goal of the season, Armando Broja. The Albanian international has chipped in with an all-important goal 13 minutes into the second half. And to tell us all about it, here's Dirk Hessen.
Yeah, Chelsea finally got their goal in this game, and it came from a bit of patient play from them, passing it in and around the Preston North End box. Preston couldn't clear the ball away. It fell to Malo Gusto on the left-hand side, and he delivered a great ball to Broja at the near post, and his glancing header beats Woodburn on his left-hand side. It's a great header to beat the Preston North End goalkeeper, and it's given Chelsea, and all things considered, a deserved lead here. 57 minutes played. It's Chelsea 1, Preston 0.
Yeah, big goal that for Chelsea. This is a competition they want to go deep into. They've got to the semi-finals of the Carabao Cup, the first leg of the semi-final away at Middlesbrough coming up this midweek, and they would like to be in Monday's 4th round draw of the FA Cup. And they're going the right way about it now. Chelsea 1, Preston North End 0. There's still no goals in the game that Billy Andrews is watching between Middlesbrough and Aston Villa. It's been a lively second half, and a penalty claim for Aston Villa, Billy.
A penalty claim for Aston Villa indeed, and it's Alex Moreno, the left-back, driving into the Middlesbrough box, and he just sort of kicks his leg into Bangara's leg and goes down claiming a penalty. All the Villa arms go up. Referee, he's not interested at all. Waves for Moreno to get up, and of course, joy of joys, no VAR at Middlesbrough's ground, so we haven't got to deal with that. A couple of subs for Borough. They've taken off Coburn, the striker, and Hackney, who was on a yellow card, the captain, and they've been replaced by Howson and the Ivorian striker Emmanuel Latte-Lath. They did have a chance, Borough. Rogers running straight through the middle, but he took too long. Yeah, dallied on his shot, and Matty Cash was there to get a fantastic last-ditch tackle in. Aston Villa playing some fantastic passes between themselves, but again, no clear-cut chances for the striker. I'm still waiting for Ollie Watkins to start warming up, though. Still 0-0 at the Riverside.
Thank you very much, Billy. We heard of an Ivorian striker in action there at the Riverside. Well, Lazare Amami has scored a late 5th for the Ivory Coast. They're now 5-0 up on Sierra Leone, and that's a goal that puts the icing on the cake, surely, for Ivory Coast, who will be looking as hosts at the AFCON this coming weekend, next weekend, in fact, when the AFCON gets underway. They're going to be the hosts. They're going to be in action next weekend, and they have built up in style. 5-0 they are leading this afternoon. Another chance for Chelsea, Jack Hesson, very close to making it 2-0.
Yeah, it was almost seconds after kick-off that goal would have been in had it been in, but luckily for Freddie Woodman, the ball fell back to his feet. What happened was, from kick-off, it went straight back to the goalkeeper, Freddie Woodman, who advanced forward from his box to try and lump it forward for Preston North End, but Broja hunting him down, bearing him down. He tries to kick it away, it hits off Broja, and luckily for Woodman, it landed straight back to him. Just as you came to me there, also Mudryk, a great ball into the box. Broja in the exact same position as the goal, almost the exact same header towards the goal, but this time it hit the bar. So Chelsea turning on the style here. 60 minutes played. It's still, however, Chelsea 1, Preston 0.
Yes, it's not about how you win, it's about winning in the FA Cup third round, and the Premier League sides have by and large been coming good in the third round of the FA Cup. Burnley went out last night at Spurs, and I think that's the only one really so far, as Brighton come from behind and Bournemouth have come from behind. Aston Villa are still fighting it out at Middlesbrough, still 0-0. We'll be across there in a second. First of all, let's go to Hillsborough. Mark Thomas, he's had plenty of goals, plenty of penalty misses, plenty of action. Any more chances in this game? One more for Sheffield Wednesday will surely win it, but one for Cardiff, and who knows where it will lead.
Yes, it would make it an interesting game, Barry, if Cardiff could do something. They've just had a shot, flash past the post from Callum Robinson, who's looked their main threat this afternoon, to be honest with you. Colwill, younger brother of Ruben Colwill, Joel Colwill, has come on as a substitute for Benjamin, so that's happened. And we had a free kick. Bowler was fouled by Bernard a couple of minutes ago. The cross went into the box, quite dangerous, but it fizzled out of play. So nothing really to report here. Both teams are still going for it. Cardiff City obviously giving it everything they've got now to try and get back in this game. But as it stands, up to 59 minutes, it's still Sheffield Wednesday 3, Cardiff City 0.
Thank you very much for that, Mark. Let's go to Middlesbrough against Aston Villa. This game is over an hour in. There's no goals, but it looks lively, this one, Billy Andrews. Wouldn't be surprised to see a goal between now and the end.
Well, you wouldn't be surprised, and history would dictate that it's going to be a goal, possibly for Middlesbrough, because since 2017, Aston Villa have played 7 third-round ties in the FA Cup, and they've lost every single one of them. Not even a replay, they've lost every single one, including in 2018, and of course last year to Stevenage. So, good shot there, just going wide from John McGinn, trying to get the players rallied up, but history would dictate it's Borough that are going to win this one, but on basis of the teams on the pitch, Aston Villa really are massively on top, but still can't unlock this Borough defence.
Thank you very much for that, Billy. We'll be straight across all our FA Cup games this afternoon. Tomorrow, Manchester City against Huddersfield is one of the featured matches that we've got right here with John Kane on Football Live. Here's Darren Moore, the Huddersfield Town manager. Always sounds very sincere and very well spoken when he speaks to the media. Here he is talking about the chances of an upset for Huddersfield Town, who are struggling in the Championship as they go to Manchester City tomorrow afternoon.
Yeah, no, we go there, and obviously we know they're difficult opponents. We know the tremendous home record that they've got. But we go in terms of how we've always planned and prepared for games. We know it's a difficult game, of course we do know that. But we go there, Boyd, with our 6,000 travelling fans. And we go there with an air of expectation to continue to build what we've been about, really. So it's a difficult game, but a real game that we're looking forward to.
That was the Huddersfield manager speaking there, Darren Moore, who comes up against Pep Guardiola tomorrow afternoon. I can tell you that Ivory Coast now 5-1 up against Sierra Leone. Rodney Michael with a late goal. And another goal at Stamford Bridge.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
And it's a second goal for Chelsea. They're now 2-0 up and cruising through, it seems, against Preston North End in the third round of the FA Cup. It looked at half-time as if there might be a shock here. Preston North End, though, have not been in particularly good form in the Championship in recent weeks. And Thiago Silva has just gone and made it Chelsea 2, Preston North End 0, and we will be across to Stamford Bridge to hear all about that goal in just a few moments' time. Let's head to Aston Villa's game at Middlesbrough. The home side from the Championship, Middlesbrough, have just had a really good chance.
They have indeed, and it's Isaiah Jones down this right-hand side. He's played him fantastically. He looked like he may have just been offside. The linesman's flag didn't go up, and of course there's no VAR. He's tried to pull it back to Latte Lath in the middle, but Matty Cash is there to slide in and stop the ball going any further. A couple of corners in quick succession for Borough, but no real chances coming from those. And maybe in the last 5 minutes they've slightly woken up a bit, but still, 67 minutes in, 0-0.
Still 0-0 at the Riverside Stadium between Middlesbrough and Aston Villa. We just heard about that Aston Villa record in the FA Cup in recent years. It's not been great at all. Will that be the shock? We'll be to Hillsborough after the break. Before we go to the break, let's go and hear about that second goal for Chelsea. And delight for the Chelsea fans. They're 2-0 up on Preston North End. To tell us all about it, here is Jack Hesson.
Yeah, 66 minutes on the clock, and that might just be game-setting match here at Stamford Bridge. It was from a corner on the near side, whipped in by Cole Palmer, an outswinger towards Thiago Silva in the middle of the box. He gets his head onto it. Woodman makes a bit of a hash of it on the stave, but he pams it into the goal, and Chelsea are now 2-0 up. There was a slight VAR check there as we were looking at it, but it was a very slight one, and we're back kicked off here. As you mentioned before, Chelsea maybe just needed that one goal to kick things off, and it seems to certainly have been the case in this game in the second half. 66 minutes on the clock. It's Chelsea 0, Preston 2. No, even.
Football Live. Football's never sounded so good on Brilla FM every Saturday and Sunday.
Football Live continues its FA Cup adventure tomorrow afternoon. Join John Kane on the road to Wembley with all eyes on the tie of the round as Arsenal take on Liverpool at the Emirates. Holders Manchester City begin their defence of the trophy at home to Huddersfield Town. And Napoli look to pick up points on the road without Victor Osimhen. They go to Torino in our featured match in Italy in Serie A. Join us tomorrow afternoon on Football Live right here on Brilla FM from 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Football Live exclusively covering the FA Cup, the greatest cup competition on the planet.
From the beginning.
Hit it, boys. You are listening to Football Live. Live and exclusive on Brilla FM. Join round the corner where the big boys play.
And here it begins.
Football Live. Our proof that Sports Radio 88.9 Brilla FM has gone beyond one league. Football Live. It takes you from country to country, venue to venue. Football Live. It's about eyewitness reports at match venues exclusively for Sports Radio 88.9 Brilla FM.
I can tell you, no, I can't tell you anything.
Pity those poor North London supporters. Absolute chaos at the Etihad.
Yes, the goal has finally come.
Attack.
We've heard about the goat in the crowd. Is there a goal on the pitch?
Is Victor Osimhen with the goal.
And I'm sure most Chelsea fans out there listening will agree that that simply is not good enough.
We're zigzagging all over the United Kingdom.
And they've got to play 3-4-2. No, 3-4-3 looks like.
Get involved in NairaBet Sunday Special and net yourself a free bet. Arsenal take on Liverpool at the Emirates, and we are giving away a 100% matched free bet up to 1,000 Naira. Whether you back the Gunners or the Reds, even if your bet does not win, you will still be eligible for the free bet. All you need to do is log in to www.nairabet.com, bet on Liverpool versus Arsenal, receive your free bet to use on any sports or virtuals. To qualify, just place a bet on either the pre-match markets or in play. Full details can be found on our promotions page. Must be over 18, minimum odds of 1.5. Must be a real money bet. Cashed out bets do not qualify. General and free bet terms and conditions apply. Please gamble responsibly. Let's get back to the action on Football Live. Powered by NairaBet. This is Football Live with Barry Swain.
Chelsea fans, sit back, put your feet up and relax.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
We're going to go to Jack Hesson at Stamford Bridge. More good news for you Blues fans.
Oh, Raheem Sterling, what a finish on the just outside the box. It was so well poised for him to hit it, and he did. It was a great technique to get it up over the wall and into the top right hand corner. Freddie Woodman in goals for Preston. Absolutely no chance. Chelsea cruising here. 70 minutes played. It's Chelsea 3, Preston 0.
Thank you very much for that. What a goal from Raheem Sterling, guaranteeing Chelsea a place in the hat for the Monday draw in the fourth round of the FA Cup. We'll be off to our other two FA Cup games in just a second. Let's quickly go to Italy. The full-time whistle has blown between Lecce and Cagliari. Here's Jackson Cole.
It's finished Lecce 1, Cagliari 1. This could be a vital point for Claudio Ranieri's men in their bid to stay in Serie A. Gaetano Oristano's sliding finish cancelled out a first-half header by Valentin Jondre, but the home side will be ruining a number of missed chances before they are head back. Remy Udan, he hit the post from distance, and while Nikola Krstovic put the ball wide from 6 yards out, and Antonio Gallo fluffed his lines early in the second half. The visitors, they could have won it through Matteo Pratti's fizzing strike, but it was well saved by Lecce goalkeeper Vladimiro Falcone. So honours even at a wet and windy Stadio Via della Mare. Lecce 1, Cagliari 1.
Thank you very much, Jackson Cole. Thank you for your excellent updates on that game in Italy, our featured game outside of England today. Not too many games being played abroad that we've been able to cover because of the winter break for so many. Well, we've more than compensated, haven't we, with a great afternoon of FA Cup action in the third round. One tie that's still very much up in the air. Plenty happening apart from goals for Billy Andrews at the Riverside.
Well, Unai Emery has seen enough from his cup team at the moment, and he's brought on 4 subs. So the Cavalry's arrived, taken off Dendoncker, Bailey, Duran and McGinn, and brought on Zaniolo, Diaby, Louise and Ollie Watkins. Matty Cash is getting a word in his ear from the referee after a verbal altercation with Isaiah Jones. After he fouled Jones, actually, and then seemed to take offence with the fact that the free kick was given. But again, we're coming into just under 20 minutes left of this game, and Aston Villa and Unai Emery hoping to break that curse that's been on Aston Villa since 2017. Of course, not won a third round tie since 2016. So free kick to Aston Villa, but just over 15 minutes left. Another player in the book for Aston Villa. This time it's Matty Cash, but still 0-0.
Thank you very much for that, Billy. We'll be keeping tabs on all of the matches, and well, it looks like it's going to be a golden evening for Chelsea, and their fans will have a smile on their face. Not often they score 3 goals, Chelsea. Well, they're going to score 3 goals in about, 15 minutes or so? It's beginning to look like a tetchy evening, but suddenly it's a lovely, relaxed evening at Stamford Bridge. Chelsea 3, Preston North End 0. Still 0-0, Aston Villa being held at Middlesbrough. It's a game that I'm keeping a very close eye on in the corner of my eye, and we'll be back with Billy Andrews to see if there's any late drama in that. Let's go on to our other game that we're covering. Sheffield Wednesday shot into the lead in the first minute or so, and then they conceded 2 penalties. Both were saved. They've gone on to score 2 more goals, and let's catch up with Mark Thomas, who can tell us how things are panning out in the latter stages of this game at the Hillsborough.
Well, we're waiting with bated breath for that third penalty, Barry. No sign of it coming yet. After 60 minutes, Ollie Tanner put in a beautiful low curler went past the Sheffield United post narrowly. That's about the closest Cardiff City have come to scoring. Callum Robinson also had a header that flashed wide of the goal. He should have really made a better job of that. We've had a plethora of substitutions here, as I mentioned to you. Etete has gone off, the Nigerian has gone off, and he's been replaced by 17-year-old Cian Ashford, the Wales under-21 player. That's one of the many substitutions. After 71 minutes, Cardiff City are still struggling to get back in it. It is still Sheffield Wednesday 3, Cardiff City 0.
Thank you very much, Mark. Sheffield Wednesday last in the Cup final in 92-93 season. They have won the FA Cup 3 times. You have to go back to 1935 for the last time they had their hands on that famous piece of silverware. That's 90 years since Sheffield Wednesday have had their hands on the FA Cup. Is this their year? Not many people were backing them at this stage, but a nice comfortable 3-0 margin against Cardiff this afternoon at Hillsborough, confirming that they really are hitting some good form coming into the new year in the Championship and indeed in the FA Cup. Let's head back to the game at the Riverside. Still evenly balanced, no goals, plenty of entertainment. Both sides have had their chances, in particular Aston Villa, and another chance on the horizon for Aston Villa with a free kick. Billy Andrews.
Free kick, this time given away by Isaiah Jones. He's chasing back after Moreno and just seems to clip his heels, but I think it's pretty soft, I would say. But referee was a fair distance away, so probably thought it was a tangle of legs. But Douglas Luiz over the free kick. Noticeable rise in quality, and that free kick just misses the top of the head of Alex Moreno. It was headed away by Latte Lath and just looped over the top of Moreno. It's gone out for a corner. That Aston Villa set piece coach, Mr. McPhee, definitely earning his wages tonight. They put some fantastic crosses into the box from set pieces tonight, Aston Villa, but still, as we come up to about 13 minutes left of this game, 0-0 at the Riverside.
Thank you very much, Billy. We've got a little bit of breaking news for you on the transfer front. Remember, it is January transfer window. The window is now fully open, and Tottenham Hotspur have agreed to sign Timo Werner, the former Chelsea striker, on loan from RB Leipzig, with the option to make the deal permanent at the end of the season. The 27-year-old is set to fly to London for a medical, and Spurs are going to cover his wages on loan for the rest of the season from RB Leipzig. He has Premier League experience for Chelsea, having joined the Blues in a £45 million move from Leipzig back in 2020. He scored 23 goals in 89 appearances for Chelsea before returning to Leipzig a year ago. He scored 2 goals in 14 this season. He's been down the pecking order, and Marco Rose, the Leipzig manager, has confirmed that the forward is on his way out of the door at Leipzig and will be in North London possibly for the rest of the season, certainly beyond that if he's a success. They do need a striker, don't they, at the moment? Timo Werner on his way to Tottenham, and I can tell you Eric Dyer is linked to Bayern Munich. That looks like a deal that's going to go through as well, so Eric Dyer will be leaving Tottenham Hotspur and joining Bayern Munich, so Champions League football for him, and he'll be teaming up with his former teammate Harry Kane, both England and Tottenham Hotspur teammate Harry Kane. Well, it's been a hectic old show. We're coming towards the end. Still a little bit more drama I think we need to cram in. Let's head back to our game at the Riverside. Billy Andrews, we had that free kick for Aston Villa a few minutes ago. Villa claiming another free kick, but the free kick went the other way to Middlesbrough.
Well, it did. It was actually a penalty they were claiming this time. Another free kick given away this time on the right-hand side. It was played in quite high, actually, and it was Ezri Konsa tussling with, I think it was Engels. He felt his shirt was being held. He had hold of Engels' shirt as well. He claimed a penalty after he went down, and the referee said, no, I'm going to give a free kick the other way. Lovely shot of Jonathan Woodgate on the bench for Borough this evening. Of course, first team coach, I bet he'd love to lace his boots up and get back out there. But final 10 or so minutes at the Riverside, Middlesbrough really are just holding on at the moment, but it's still 0-0.
Excellent. Thank you very much for that, Billy. Let's go to Stamford Bridge. A nice, comfortable few minutes for the Chelsea fans. 3-0 up against Preston. Are they pushing for more in this game, Jack?
Yeah, they really are. Preston, the wheels fell off the wagon for them with that first goal. And since then, Chelsea have just pushed on strength to strength. There was a great opportunity there. Sterling playing in Brozier. Brozier bearing down on goal. Skip past goalkeeper Woodman, and it was cleared off the line of shot by Andrew Hughes to keep it at 3-0, and then a chance there by substitute David Washington. Their close-ranged header just went wide. They are pushing for that 4th goal, but they've really stepped into gear in this second half. 80 minutes played, it's Chelsea 3, Preston 0.
I think it's fair to say Chelsea will be playing in the 4th round of the FA Cup this season. So too Sheffield Wednesday. They're leading Cardiff City 3-0. Let's catch up with Mark Thomas. Any sign of more for Sheffield Wednesday, or is there to be a late comeback from Cardiff City?
I fear there's no late comeback for Cardiff, Barry. They've huffed and puffed a little bit, but, you know, they've got into the box a few times. Some good diagonal runs, but it's the final touch that's been elusive to them today, and that's why they haven't managed to score any goals. They've been threatening, but as I mentioned, those moves, they've not been able to finish them off. Windass went off after 73 minutes to a huge ovation from the Hillsborough fans for his contribution today. And right now, manager Danny Roll, the youngest in Football League, by the way, he's looking as if he's got a wonderful 3-0 win under his belt. 13 minutes to go. Still Sheffield Wednesday 3, Cardiff City 0.
Thank you very much, Mark. Nearly a big shock in the French Coupe de France, where 5th tier side Entete SSG, who play their football in and around the suburbs of Paris, they play in the National 3rd Group G. And, well, they've fought their way through to play against Bordeaux this evening, and the Ligue 1 side have won on penalties after a 1-1 draw. So 4-2 to Bordeaux on penalties, very nearly a massive, massive shock against the part-timers in France. Ivory Coast have beaten Sierra Leone 5-1. Let's head back to the game that's still very much in the balance. Two of our games 3-0 to the home side at the moment. The home side making a change. Middlesbrough still 0-0, around about 7.5 minutes to go. Billy Andrews, any indicators as to who might just sneak this one, or is there going to be a replay, which neither side will really want, will they?
Well, particularly Middlesbrough, what with those 2 legs against Chelsea in the League Cup coming up as well. They're going to have to find somewhere to squeeze this replay in. But we've got a free kick now, won by Lasse Lath, but signs of frustration growing in Aston Villa's 11 out on the pitch. Just another booking there this time for Clement Longley. Nicolo Zaniolo was booked for what is a petulant challenge, really, and they've played at such high levels so far this season, this Aston Villa side, and at the moment, in current form, it's not really going all their way. I think they're just starting to get a little bit frustrated with what's going on as 3 changes get ready to come on for Middlesbrough. But my money would be on the replay, but the magic of the FA Cup, anything could happen. It's still 0-0 at the Riverside.
Thank you, Billy. On Monday, it's Wigan against Manchester United. Not too many years ago, Wigan were FA Cup winners. They're now playing with a points deduction in League One, the 3rd tier in England. But they'll be looking forward to that game against Manchester United on Monday. Here is their manager, Sean Maloney, of course, with Wigan as a player and an FA Cup winner not too many years ago.
To this club, it means everything. It's as you can see, there's pictures everywhere of that day and the run of that cup. So it's it's probably I know that we've had a lot of good times, but it's probably the greatest day for the club that we've had. And me, just an incredible day. It's probably the happiest I've been on a football pitch in that final. I think when you win here, it feels different to when I've won at other clubs, or particularly Celtic. Just the pure joy of that day was, like nothing I'd had before.
Big chance for Cardiff City. They need to get on the score sheet really quickly. Mark Thomas, probably would have been a little too late anyway, wouldn't it?
Yes, it might have been. You think that's the last chance Cardiff are going to have. If there was going to be a comeback, that would have been the way to do it. Ashley was put through with only the goalkeeper to beat, but he skewed the ball frustratingly to the outside of the left-hand post. So we sense that Cardiff have given it everything they've got, but it's their finishing that's let them down. They could have had a couple of goals easily and gotten back into this game, but with less than 10 minutes left, you think it's going to be smooth sailing for Sheffield Wednesday the rest of the way. It is still Sheffield Wednesday 3, Cardiff City 0.
Well, it took a gamble on Danny Roll as their manager, 34-year-old German. and he's gone in there and he's done a fantastic job so far as the manager. They've won 6 of their 15 games, drawing 1, losing 8, 40% win percentage, which is not bad considering when he took over they looked already relegated, and that was back in October. They're now just 2 points from safety, breathing down the necks of their Yorkshire striped rivals Huddersfield Town, and well, they're looking like they could well stay up. That's going to get interesting down at the bottom of the Championship, and Sheffield Wednesday will be amongst those in the draw for the 4th round, which will take place on Monday before that game between Wigan and Manchester United. Quick reminder that we've got Football Live coming up tomorrow. Lots of great action, and we will be across the goals throughout the afternoon. Every time a goal goes in, just like in this show, this is what we do.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
And I can tell you it's now Chelsea 4, Preston North End 0. And it's a walk in the park for Chelsea, although VAR are only on the Premier League venues for this FA Cup 3rd round. You wish they'd just take it off and give it a rest for a week, wouldn't you? And it's for a possible offside. So we'll hold back from going to Jack Hesson for just a minute because that 4th goal has gone in, but still waiting to see whether it is going to count or not. Let's go to the Riverside in the meantime, and another chance for Middlesbrough. Billy Andrews.
Well, neither side are taking a draw lying down at the Riverside, and Borough, it was Morgan Rogers again. He's been fantastic in that number 10 position with the limited amount of time he's had on the ball. He runs down that right-hand side. So up against Ezri Konsa, he gets into the box and delivers a fantastic ball into the box, but it's just in front. It's gathered by Emi Martinez. Nicolo Zaniolo had a shot that he whipped just wide, but Villa piling on the pressure at the Riverside, still 0-0.
Thank you very much, Billy, and we will of course be straight across there if anything happens. Orkun Koku has scored for Benfica. They're now 2-0 up at Aroca.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
And there has been a goal at the Riverside. As soon as we come away from Billy Andrews, there is a goal late in the tie. Neither side wanted a replay. And I can tell you it's a goal for the Premier League high flyers. Aston Villa have scored. And it's Matty Cash that hit it. It took a wicked deflection. To tell us all about it, here's Billy Andrews.
Well, I did say that only Blackburn had conceded more goals from corners in the Championship this season than Middlesbrough, and it's a corner that this goal comes from for Aston Villa. Douglas Luiz takes it short, he gets it back from Nicolo Zaniolo. He plays it to Matty Cash, who whips a low-driven strike. It takes a huge deflection off of Engels and past Glover into the bottom left-hand corner. The away side have taken the lead with minutes to spare. They're on course for a first FA Cup 3rd round win since 2016. It's Middlesbrough 0, Aston Villa 1.
Thank you very much, Billy. And let's hear about that 4th Chelsea goal. It did stand. VAR didn't rule it out. Enzo Fernandez on the score sheet. Chelsea 4, Preston 0. To tell us all about it, here is Jack Heston.
Yeah, 4-0 Fernandez. Goal initially disallowed for offside, but that was then looked at after a lengthy VAR check and given Moses Caicedo with Raheem Sterling a good link-up play. Sterling advancing towards the box, in amongst the sea of bodies, tries to get the ball to Fernandez. It deflects off the Preston defender right into the path of Fernandez. Open goal, easy finish for the Argentine. And as I mentioned, after that lengthy check, the goal was given and given Chelsea what is a deserved 4th goal in this game. 88 minutes on the clock. It's Chelsea 4, Preston 0.
Thank you very much for that, Jack. I can tell you that in Wales, Swansea have now gone 2-0 up against Morecambe. It's going to be a win on his debut as the Swansea City manager for Luke Williams. 2-0 up on Morecambe. A goal from Yates. Jerry Yates, signed in the summer from relegated Blackpool, and he has gone and scored to make it 2-0. Just a couple of minutes left there at the Swansea.com Stadium. So some late goals going in. Chelsea 4, Preston 0, Middlesbrough 0, Aston Villa 1. Sheffield Wednesday comfortably 3-0 up with just a couple of minutes to go. Swansea 2, Morecambe 0. It looks like these 4 matches that are currently playing in the FA Cup are all going to be decided this evening. Let's quickly go to Chelsea. Chelsea against Preston. Let's go back to Jack Hesson. Jack, finally, they seem to have found their shooting boots, Chelsea. Just as I was beginning to ponder what question to ask you about bringing in a striker in the January transfer window, it's all fallen into place in this second half for Chelsea, hasn't it?
Yeah, I think it has. When you look at the comparison between the first and the second half, I think Preston played particularly well. They were quite stubborn defensively, but also they looked brave going forward as well. I think that bravery just cost them in the end, because when Chelsea managed to get a groove in the game, and all they needed was just that one goal to try and set themselves off. They got it, and from then on the wheels kind of fell off the wagon a bit for Preston. They couldn't keep up the momentum of the first half at all, and yeah, it's clearly showing that there's a Premier League team against the team 14th in the Championship at the moment with Chelsea's performance. They've played excellent in this second half and have deserved a win. Excellent, thank you very much for that, Jack, and we will cross over quickly now and get an update from Billy Andrews. 1-0 to the Villa. I think overall, Billy, it's fair to say that Villa just about deserve it, don't they?
On the balance of play, they do deserve it, and Middlesbrough had about 3 or 4 warnings early in the second half that from corners they're very weak, and Aston Villa have a lot of ideas thanks to that fantastic set-piece coach they have, Mr McPhee, sat alongside Unai Emery. But 1 minute into the 4 minutes, they're playing it around the back nicely. The Premier League quality shone through. It's unlucky for Middlesbrough, but on the balance of play, Aston Villa deserve to be 1-0 up at the Riverside.
Thank you very much, Billy. Now, those 4 games are into stoppage time, and our colleagues, FJ and the team at Brilla FM, because we're going to be handing back in just a second, we're at the end of the show now, will be bringing you confirmation of the final whistles. Chelsea 4, Preston 0, Middlesbrough 0, Aston Villa 1, Sheffield Wednesday 3, Cardiff 0, and Swansea 2, Morecambe 0. It's not been an afternoon of shocks, but Bournemouth and Brighton had to do it the hard way, winning away from home, having been behind in their respective games. It's a big win for Maidstone United at the 6th tier of football in England. They have managed to make it through, beating League One Stevenage by 1-0 in their game. Chelsea cruising. And we will be back again tomorrow afternoon with John Kane here on Football Live. Have a good evening, everybody, and we'll catch you soon.